definitely. All right, so great to have such a buzz and for everyone to be chatting, and it sounds like that you're not a shy group, which is good, and hopefully now you'll remember at least a few names and a few faces that you've spoken to this morning and throughout the rest of the morning, so you can seek each other out in your classes if you're wanting to look for fellow dietetic students. So I just wanted to spend a little bit of time. Before we do, did anyone want to share some of the things, or not, maybe not your own, but others that you might have heard from others, things that you're looking forward to? It's always interesting. Or what are you not looking forward to? Anyone happy to share? Chemistry. Not looking forward to exams. Chemistry, yep, fair enough. Chemistry is a reasonable one to not be looking forward to, especially if you haven't done it before. Nothing else? You're not sure? No one wants to divulge? That's okay, no problem. Hopefully you were able to come up with things in your groups or in your pairs. All right. So, Bachelor of Nutrition and Dietetics. As you'd all be aware, you are signing up for 4 years of study. That's full-time study. I just want to say up front, in terms of if you're looking to change study plans, if you're looking to go part-time or anything like that, please don't do it just on your own. Okay, come and see me or talk to me first, because often what I've had in the past is students will drop a subject or drop a couple of subjects, which that's fine if students need to do that. You've all got lives. I understand that. We've all got commitments and work and family and so on and so on. So sometimes full-time can be a bit too much. But what happens is if you drop a subject, sometimes they don't have an understanding of the flow-on effect. Okay, and when you think it's one subject, it might add a whole year to your degree. All right. So if you are in that position, please reach out before you make any changes. I'll just say that up front. So in terms of the bachelor degree, at the end of this, you should be able to sort of promote evidence-based nutrition. So we're an evidence-based profession. And we always go back to the science and the rationale and the evidence that's out there, and good quality evidence. So I was saying to my daughter this morning that TikTok is not a good source of medical information, because she was telling me about ailments this morning that she'd looked up on TikTok. You will be able to, sort of provide medical nutrition therapy, and I guess that's one of the distinctions between nutrition and dietetics, in terms of if you do a nutrition degree, it's that medical nutrition therapy that is the difference. And the aim is that you'll prevent illnesses in communities and individuals, and you will have a very wide range of employment opportunities at the end of this. So we are now, end of Feb, and probably about 60% of our new grads from last year have already got work. So that's only after a couple of months, which is really promising. Not all in full-time work, but they're all in a nutrition dietetic job. Which is really exciting and good to see this early on. And generally by halfway through the year, everyone that wants a job has a job. All right, so don't be concerned about employment opportunities. There are vacancies around the place as we speak. So the overall course aims, and you can read this on the web. I'm not going to spend too much time reading out word for word what we're aiming for, but really what we're aiming for is at the end that you're professionals that can take all of the science, so all of that chemistry, all of that biochemistry and physiology that you learn and nutrition, and pull it together to have some information and be able to promote health and prevent illnesses in individuals and communities, and maybe even at policy level. So you'll learn a lot and do a lot over the next 4 years. And at the end, that's what you should be able to do. We are accredited by Dietitians Australia, so we're the only ones in the state. That is up for re-accreditation this year. So myself and Amanda Ray, who's the academic lead, are busy pulling together all of the documentation and the submission for that, which is due at the end of April. We don't have any concerns, so don't be worried. Okay. And as I said, you will be employable in lots of different settings, some of which may not even exist at this point in time. And one of the key things that to keep in mind as you go through the program is that we're encouraging lifelong learning. So lifelong learning in terms of keeping up with evidence, keeping up with all of the new fad diets that come out. Because when you're sitting in a clinic, someone will ask you about a fad diet, or you'll be like, oh gosh, I haven't kept up with that one. Or even as simple as in the supermarket, all the new products that come out time and time again. So that will be your role from now on, is getting into supermarkets, learning about foods. If you're not already a foodie, getting out there and sort of learning about what's out there. Okay, so you should all be enrolled. If you're not fully enrolled for the year, then can you please do that? Mainly because it means then all of the classes are set up for the year. You know where you need to be. Your timetable will be set up so you can juggle work and things around your commitments. And also in terms of the university counting students, then they know who's enrolled and what number of enrolments there are, so that we get adequate space. Because if we've only got 5 students enrolled, what they do is they put us in a tiny room, and then when the other 25 enroll down the track, then we struggle to find space. So enroll if you're not already. So semester 1, unfortunately, is where that chemistry is. Okay, so if you're someone who has done chemistry before, then if you haven't done chemistry before, then I would do 1201. Okay, because that's aimed at students that have very little to no background in chemistry. If you have done chemistry in high school, you can still do that one. You might find it a little bit easier. Or you can do Chem 1010. And that just depends on what fits in with your timetable. If you work on a Friday, for example, or have other commitments on a Friday, and Chem 1A is on a Friday, then choose the other one. Doesn't matter, all right? You'll do some biology this year. So you'll see year 1 and year 2 are very science heavy, all right? So it's 50% of your program is science. So you've got 2 biology topics in year 1. So you've got molecular basis of life and human bioscience in semester 2. We used to have 2 chemistry. Thankfully now we only have 1. So we've got 1 chem and psychology as your other science. All right. And then you'll find that in semester 2, so in semester 1, there isn't any nutrition. Okay, so sometimes you'll be in your programs, you're like, there's no nutrition. I thought I'd enrolled in a dietetic degree. What's going on here? All right. It is coming. And the reason being is that you need some of that science first to be able to then move into some of the nutrition programs, right, nutrition topics. So nutrition-wise, it's general nutrition. You'll do nutrition, physical activity and health. Those of you who've done year 12 nutrition, some of that will be very familiar to you, all right, which should make it easier. It's a fully online topic as well, which makes it a bit more easy to fit in around things. You'll do food systems, which looks at food law, food processing, all of those kinds of things. And they're the 2 nutrition topics that you'll have this year. One of the, an area of core competence for dietitians, so you'll hear a lot about the national competency standards as you move through the program. And at the end of the degree, you have to meet all of those competencies, all right? And a key area of competence in the newer version is around Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander health and sort of social determinants of health. So in semester 2, you'll do a full topic around, and that's the right number, around First Nations or Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander health. All right. Some students find it challenging, confronting, but it is a really worthwhile topic, and it's really crucial in terms of setting you up for some of the other content across the degree. Right. So hopefully you're all enrolled in that. Is there any questions about your enrolment for year 1? Who's excited for all of the biology and the chemistry? You'll get through it, okay? It's a matter of, the tips is keep up, don't fall behind, all right? And reach out if you're having challenges. So it sounds like a long time away, but then, before we go on to that, in terms of in year 1, you will be all over the university, all right? So you will have some classes potentially here on STIRT, okay? You will definitely have classes up in the science area, which is up near the lake, all right? And that's where your biology and your chemistry and things will be up there. And then you may well have some classes in health sciences and in the medical centre. All right, so particularly in year 2, you might have physiology in the medical centre. So you can see you can be a little bit spread out all over the place. There is connector bus services. If you're not aware, there is a connector bus service that goes between the different campuses. So as in the main campus, Sturt, FMC, and even Tonsley if you want to go down there for a wander. But also in terms of if you can hack the hills, you can walk it. All right. So to get from Sturt to main campus, if you go through what we call the forest, it's about 10 minutes walk. So sometimes you might find that you have to get from one campus to the other, sort of one finishes at 10 to the hour and the other one starts on the hour. So don't fret, don't stress. I always say, look, you get there when you get there. All right, so you might want to leave a couple of minutes early and get there a couple of minutes late. All right, but it is achievable. If you haven't already had a wander around, then I suggest you go and have a look around and kind of find your bearings before you start next week. Although you'll find that as you're wandering around with your map on your phone trying to find your way, there'll be people that will point you in the right direction. We're generally a friendly bunch. And then before you know it, you'll be into year 2. All right, and again, year 2 is science, 50% science again. So that's where you'll move into biochemistry. So you'll have biochem in both semesters and your human physiology in both semesters as well. But there is more nutrition as well. All right. One of the things that I didn't mention is that you've got these research studies and skills topics throughout your first 3 years. And what those topics are is kind of scaffolds across the 3 years, but the areas that they focus on are sort of fundamental skills around sort of library searching, starts off with library searching and how to write, academic reports and essays and things like that, moving into sort of research skills. And along the way as well is around that sort of professional development and thinking about goal setting and making sure that you're kind of meeting or on the trajectory to meeting your sort of your aims across the 3 years. Right. Those topics you're in with lots of different allied health programs, so physio students, still worked, OT students, speech path, so they're all in those programs. So you'll meet lots of different people. In terms of nutrition in year 2, so the one with the long title that we're in semester 1 that we all just call ISEP, because it's a lot easier, that's a little bit more around the social determinants of health and looking at food choices and the influences on why people choose what they eat. So things like, individual factors, environmental factors and sustainability, for example, and also social factors. And then in semester, so that's all face-to-face in semester 1, all of those topics. And then in semester 2, you'll move into looking at nutrition across the life cycle. So that's where you'll start a little bit more around what nutrition needs are from preconception through to older adults. And that's a fully online topic. All right, so you'll do that online. And food products and prep. So that's where you'll actually get into the kitchen and start doing some cooking and different things around food preparation and food skills. So if you're already a bit of a cook, then that's going to be an easy bit for you. If you don't know how to boil an egg, then you're going to learn a lot. All right? And in those classes, we have the full spectrum of what we've had chefs in there, because some students have come into the program as a chef, and we've had some that have never picked up a knife. So if you're in that spectrum, you'll be fine. All right. Any questions about year 2? Seems like so far away, doesn't it? So by this time, you haven't seen any patients or any clients. You haven't been on any placements as such because it's much more science and general nutrition. But when you get to year 3, that's when we get you out there. Okay, so in year 3, you've done the science topics, okay, but you can't just put it under your bed and forget about it. This is where we then sort of start applying all of that, what you've learned. So this is where all of the sort of dietetic topics start. So you've still got the research and study skills topic, but things like nutrition care process and communication and counselling, that's where you'll actually be doing what dietitians do and learning how to work with individuals and groups. So you're in nutrition care process, you'll do a 2-day, well this year they're doing a 2-day observational placement where you'll go out to a site and you'll shadow the dietitian. You'll meet and shadow, other health professionals so that you get an idea of what other people do and how they all interact. So that's a 2-day placement. And then in communication and counselling, you have what we call a ward placement, and that's where you get allocated to a ward in a hospital in metropolitan Adelaide. We do consider where you live. So if you live, in Hallacove, we won't send you to Lilac and vice versa. And that's where you have a 3 to 4 week block of time, and you visit the ward as often as you can to interview patients on the ward. All right. So that's where you get out there, you start talking to real people, real patients, collecting all of their information, talking to the nurses, talking to different people on the wards. And that's where you can sort of hopefully get over any anxiety that you've got before you go on final placement, because you'll be more familiar with a hospital setting, for example. And it also gives you an opportunity to get out there and do hopefully what you want to be doing and working with patients. And then in semester 2 is the sort of what we call the placement readiness topics. So you'll do a clinical topic, so that's worth 9 units, so it's a big topic, double topic. Then you'll do a public health and community nutrition and food service. So they're the kind of 3 domains that you'll study in order to then do placements in final year, which sounds like a long time away, but it won't. It'll be here before you know it. All right. Placements. So year 1 to 3, we do normal semesters. So the 2 halves of the year, nice break in between. All right. In year 4, it's at this point in time. By the time you get there, it might be slightly different. But in year 4, we start the second week of January. All right. So with a class coursework intensive, and then it's 4 blocks across the year where you're rostered onto placements. All right. And finishing late November. So there's only 3 placements, but there's 4 blocks. So in there somewhere you'll have some time where you're not on placement and working on other things. So you'll do a 10-week clinical placement. So usually that's in a hospital environment, or it can be sort of a hospital and aged care facility mixed. You'll do a 7-week community placement, 4 weeks in food service, and then you'll have some research and professional practice topics to do as well as part of the final year. If you're interested in honours, which I'll talk about in a minute, but you've also got an independent studies project as well, and that's where you get to choose a project and work with industry on a project. If you're interested in honours, we do have an embedded honours in the BND, and what that is it's in the final year, and it's a 6-month honours project. Right, so like a research project, you come out with honours at the end. So if you're interested in sort of like a research career or want to keep that an option and go on and do PhDs and things like that, then honours allows you to do that. Right. Some don't want to do it, completely fine. And it's based on GPA, and we kind of in the middle of year 3, based on GPA, you can apply, and then we take about 12 students into the honours program for final year. All right. You don't have to remember all of this. I'm just kind of, you might go, oh, honours. Little light bulbs sometimes. And what that looks like is all of your placements are in the first half of the year, and then you do your 6-month honours. All right. So that is a whistle-stop tour of the program. Is there anyone who has any questions, any comments? Anyone who's like, oh, that's not quite what I signed up for? Yeah?
With placement, do we choose it ourselves?
We organise them all. Okay, so final year placement, we organise all of those and we roster you on. Again, we consider where you live, but also there are rural and interstate placements. So interstate is Northern Territory and Tasmania. That's at the moment. By the time you get there, it might be different. And so we allocate placements to students. We do ask if there's any barriers to going away. And by barriers, that means you have children that you look after, or you're a carer for someone else, or there's some other you've got health reasons why you can't be away from home, and we sort of survey you about that in year 3. Otherwise, it's kind of you get randomly allocated to placements. In year 3, the observational placement, you get to choose one. So we give you a list and you sign up for one. All right. Good question. I would say the rural placements are fabulous, so I'll talk about them in a minute. But where are we located? So you might need to come and find us, or you might have a meeting with us, or just out of interest, where we actually spend more than half of our lives, weekly lives. We're here in Sturt, and we're on level 3 in the north building. So we're in the south at the moment. The north building's just the other side of the courtyard. Okay, and we're on level 3. I'll put these slides up on the flow page, so if you don't have to take notes, but you're welcome to photograph. So you might need to come and see us. If you want to make a time, then of course email us or phone us to make a time. So you might come and want to see me, or your topic coordinators, or the student experience coordinator. We're all in the same place. And this is our team as it currently stands. So you can see there's a few of us. We've got academic lead as Amanda Ray. Then there's myself, Carolyn Dent, who is the course coordinator of the Bachelor of Human Nutrition and the new online nutrition exercise degree. Jane Barber's a student experience coordinator, and Marion McAllister is also someone with a service role with the placement educator coordinator. So there's quite a range of people. We've only got one man at this stage. Tim Green, who's recently joined us, but you'll see there's a range of people, and from a variety of areas. Some are clinical dietitians by background, some have worked, so Claire, for example, has come from a diabetes and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander health background, and some are sort of public health, nutrition background as well. So we kind of cover the whole stream. In terms of information that we can kind of provide to you, one of the best places that we use, and the most common places, and hopefully you've already found it, is the nutrition general information on Flow. Have you all managed to find that on Flow? Yep, okay. So we recently moved from what we call Moodle to Canvas, so changed the learning platform. So that happened at the end of last year. So I always say to students, bear with us, because sometimes we don't know where to put things and where things are, and things go a little bit all over the place. So we're learning Flow again, just like you're learning Flow. So myself, Carolyn, and the other academic staff, we will use this page to update you on any general information. So you'll find, and this is the sort of the outward facing page, and then there is a BND and MND info hub where I'll put specific information for you. All right, and that might be things like events that are on, opportunities for you to be involved in things such as, volunteering, for example, if you're interested in that, and also job opportunities. So I regularly post job opportunities on there for graduates, but also while you're in the program as well, if you're interested in finding some sort of related work. So keep an eye on this page, check it regularly, at least a couple of times a week, so that you don't miss anything. And if you're unsure in terms of your program and what to enrol in and what your next semester is going to look like, you've probably all found the course handbook page on the website as well that's relevant for the BND. So keep an eye, make sure that you refer back to that if you need any information. So any questions on any of that? No? All fairly straightforward? Everyone happy with Flow? So obviously I've shown what the academic team is here at Flinders, but we can't teach this program on our own. We need a lot of input from external partners and external stakeholders, so that we can cover everything that we need to cover, but also so that we keep our program as current and relevant as possible for the industry in which you'll work. So we have a number of key partners that are regularly involved. We do have some that dip in and dip out year by year. But the local health networks here in South Australia, so Sarlan, Carlin and Narlan, which you'll hear those terms a fair bit as you move through, and they're some of the sites that fit under those banners. So they come and teach into the program, they host student placements, they advise us on what we should and shouldn't be covering, that kind of thing. The Women's and Children's Hospital, so they teach a whole module for us on paediatrics in the clinical topic in year 3. Plus host placements. And then we have country health as well. So the country health partners is growing because the workforce in country health is starting to boom. Okay, so if you're happy to go country, then that's where you'll get it. It'll be easy to get a job. So common ones are Mount Gambier, Port Lincoln, Wallaroo, the Barossa. So even Mount Barker is now classed as country health, and Victor Harbour. They're just some of the ones that you might go to. And then interstate, the Royal Darwin, Alice Springs Hospital and Gove, and then in interstate in Tasmania, generally we have Burnie and Hobart. Okay, so they're the places that you might go or that will come and teach into our programs. Similarly for community and public health, there's a lot of meetings and a lot of talking between different people. So we have lots of key partners that contribute in that domain. Here in South Australia, some of you might be familiar with places like Sprout, which is where you go and do all your food prep and cooking classes out at Sprout. Sonder and Health to Go, which is the clinic here at Flinders, and again interstate as well. So in terms of getting yourself sorted, hopefully you're all sort of at least on the path to getting all of those essentials sorted, but just to make sure that you are all covered. Student ID cards. Has everyone got a student ID card? Lots of nodding. Okay. If you haven't, you can do that online. I would get onto that fairly quickly so that you can access different things here at the uni, and also, then you get your cheap movie tickets and all of that kind of stuff. All of the perks that come with having a student card. Get familiar with Flow. So it sounds like lots of you have already been on Flow and had a look around. If you haven't, then again in the coming days, make sure that you do have a look through the information on Flow. That is where you will have not only the general information, but all of your topics have their own Flow site. And they are live now, so they're always live a week before classes start, so that you can go on and have a look at what the assessment is and all of that. So they will all be in various states of completeness in terms of, like at the moment mine, I've got until week 6 available. I'm still working on the back end of the semester. So make sure you're aware of that, your topic sites. Also be aware of who the teaching staff are for that topic. So who's the topic coordinator, because that's who you need to contact if you're unsure about things. All right. So make sure you're aware of who's teaching and where the classes are being held, what's online versus what's in person. So some of the science topics in particular, they have a mix. So some things will be online, some things are in person. If they're online, are they live or are they pre-recorded? So they're the kind of things that you just need to get your head around so that you're prepared and you think, oh gosh, I was supposed to go to that session, I thought it was online. All right. But again, if you're having any difficulties, happy for you to flick me an email and I can help guide you. As I mentioned at the beginning, make sure you've enrolled. So not just enroll in the topics, but enroll in all of the classes as well. So often, you need to enroll in a tutorial stream, workshop stream, lab stream for each class. So just make sure that you've got all of those boxes ticked so that you haven't, that you're not all of a sudden missing all of the labs because you haven't registered for those particular classes. So this slide will be on the general flow page. So if you're unsure, you can follow that over the weekend so that you can be fully enrolled. If you find you've got clashes, which sometimes happens, then try and enroll in another stream or another lab class, for example. If there's no way around those classes, things like lectures, they're always recorded. So if you can't sort out a clash and you've got a lab or a tutorial and a lecture that overlaps, go to the lab or the tute and you'll just have to watch the recording of the lecture kind of session later on. All right. But it is possible to avoid clashes. Similarly, if you've got a class up in science and a class down here, then your lecture will be recorded, so don't stress if you can't make it between campuses in time. So as I said, make sure you've enrolled into all of the topics. Oh, look at that, I was ahead of myself. And as I mentioned at the beginning, if you do need to vary your study plan, then make sure that you contact me before you do that. to chat about what that means and what it might look like. Books, so textbooks. You'll find that in the topic flow pages, any books and readings will be listed in the e-readings module or e-readings tab on the side of flow. Have a look at that. The libraries do hold copies of textbooks, so don't feel you have to go out and buy, all of the textbooks. They're very expensive, they're heavy to carry. And things like chemistry, you're probably not going to use a chemistry textbook again after you've done chemistry. So I would consider your investment in materials wisely. They may also be digitised, so sometimes, depending on the quantity of a book that's needed for the topic, they may have got permission to actually put digital versions of the relevant sections on Flow. All right. And if you think you might need to buy, then just check with the topic coordinator before you go out spending hundreds of dollars, because they'll be able to guide you on what the priorities are. If you are an elite athlete or have a health medical issue, then you can seek additional supports here at the university. So we do have what we call access plans. So if you have like medical, mental health, physical mobility issues, you might be eligible. You do need to go and see health and counselling for that. All right. So that might be things like, where it gives you some leverage to negotiate alternative arrangements for assessments or exams and activities. All right. And so, we'll have students regularly sit like exams in alternate rooms because they have an issue with sitting, for example. All right. So, if you feel that that's something of use for you or that you require, make an appointment soon because the sooner you get those things in place, the better. They do get busy at health and counselling. And then what your commitment then is that you provide that access plan to all of your topic coordinators. So that they're aware. It doesn't say on there what the reason for it is. It just says what the potential negotiating and alternative arrangements could be. If you're an elite athlete, there's also the elite athlete program where you can get involved in that program. It means obviously you get access to the sports and fitness side of things, but also it does give you, again, leverage to negotiate things like timetabling and assessment deadlines, or if you need leave. So we've got someone who's going to the Olympics. She's an Olympic race walker. So, she's had to take time off and rearrange study plans and things like that. So we've got kickboxing people, professional kickboxers who have to go off and do things. So it's not unusual in our program. So again, if you fit into that, then look into getting that program sorted out. Crucial dates. So just so that you're aware, there are a number of dates and time points that you should be aware of. In terms of enrolling in new topics and fees, they're all due at the end of week 2. So that's the last day that you can enrol in a topic. If you haven't enrolled by then, sorry, but you can't. All right. So that means you make changing enrolments and things. Census date is end of week 5. So that's where, you might be in a topic and realise it's not the topic for you, or things happen in life and you feel you can't study full time. You've got until the end of week 5 to withdraw and not have to pay. And then there's the other 2 withdrawal dates where we've got withdraw without failure, which is end of week 9, and then a withdraw fail is at the end of week 14. All right. And in terms of like the WN and the WF, they appear on your academic transcript. All right. So just keep in mind if all of those time points, and just reach out if you're unsure. In terms of where to go for any help, as I mentioned, health and counselling are here if you have any health issues. Also, feel free to come and talk to us. If we're humans. Sometimes people might not think that. We're humans, and if something happens in life and it's impacting on your ability to study, then let us know. You don't have to go in, you don't have to divulge details if you're uncomfortable doing that. But if something happens and it means that you can't sit exams, so I don't know, if there's a death in the family, for example, and it means it's really impacted on your ability to prepare for exams or sit exams, let us know and we can make alternative arrangements or help you to make alternative arrangements. All right. It might be that you, touch wood, no one does, but you might break a leg. And so standing in a chemistry lab is going to be pretty challenging. So we can help you negotiate, alternative arrangements or delays, things like that. So don't feel that you have to tackle everything alone. We're happy to help you in those situations as well. Or there's health and counselling if it's something more ongoing and bigger. You might need some financial assistance. So there is financial guidance out there. General queries, there's a number of things. So, excuse me. Get familiar with Ask Flinders. So that's on the web. That's where you put through any requests. So some of you may have put credit assessment requests through. That's all through Ask Flinders. If you've done prior study that's of relevance and you haven't already, then feel free to apply for credit. All right. You might get it, you might not, but you can consider that. And the other person in our team who also has responsibility around your experience, your success, is Jane Barber, who I introduced a little bit earlier as our student experience coordinator. So there's lots of opportunities for help. Don't feel that you have to be on your own. And also people in the class. So you've also got your classmates for support as well. Any questions? Do you all still want to stay? I hope so. Hope so. No, if there aren't any questions, housekeeping, which I forgot to say at the beginning, the toilets are just down the corridor to the left. I can see the little blue signs on the left there. So if you need the bathroom, toilets are there. If you need refreshments, then the cafeteria is pretty much down on the bottom floor in the courtyard. Then there's, also if you want to run and grab a coffee, you might have time, you've got 9 minutes, then feel free to do that as well. So I'm going to stick around for a little while. If you've got any questions you want to come and ask me, feel free. But at 10 is when we're due back in here for the sort of next session. All right. So thank you for listening to me go on. Turn that off. Feel free to stick around in here and chat if you want to. I'm not sure. Is it hot outside? I haven't been out for a while.
Hey, specific question. I'm type 1 diabetic. Do you think I should go and get an access?
I would. Yes, I would. Only because, and you might not need to use it, but it's up to sleep. And we've got a number of students with type 1 who all have access plans. And it depends, because some people are well controlled, some aren't. And things, placements and things like that. Yeah. It's useful to have. Yeah. So make an appointment. Yeah. Thank you. No problem.
In the fourth year, with the placement, is there still a lot of course content, but it's just not?
So in fourth year, you have, at this point in time, there's a 3-week coursework intensive that starts in January. So you're here for January. And then when it comes to the rest of the year, you would have occasionally, like Wednesday afternoon tutorials related to the placement. Or if you're on clinical placement, there's I think it's fortnightly tutorial that you come back here with all of your classmates that are on placement. And the other thing is for the research topics that there are things across the year, there are some journal clubs and some drop-in support sessions.
Yeah. So you can still talk to your lecturers and things about what you're doing at placements.
That's right. And we're always here. So if there's anything that you want to chat about,
again,
just
make the time.
Yeah.
When you're on placement, like each placement has a coordinator here at uni. So like a manager is the clinical one. So she's the person who will regularly touch in with you.
Yeah.
She's the one that if you're having challenges, then she'll support you through those challenges in addition to the placement side.
Yeah.
And the other person's the side. And then you're often in a pair, at least a pair on placement, so you very seldom on your own. And that's the same if you're going to state. You're also with pair.
Someone else to go with you.
Well, and it helps in terms of being able to live with and a kind of support person. And then you get to see everyone else at the general classes and the cousins and other assistants. Yeah, it's a busy year. It might be slightly different by the time you get there. But so what was your name? Jess.
I'm Jess. Yes.
What's your surname? Clark. I have names. I got a list of names and like.
Trying to remember which is which.
Yeah. Yes, but that's right. We'll get there. So, where have you come from?
So I graduated school in 2021, and then for the last 2 years I've just worked at the Mums and Children's, just doing admin kind of things to figure out what I was interested in.
Yeah. Did you do any work experience or anything with the nutrition department?
No, I haven't, but I've been booking for the last little while general surgery and a lot of the peg insertions. So I got really interested in that, and it was so fascinating. So that's kind of where
Oh, good.
I got interested.
Well, and it's good just to be in this kind of environment.
Yeah,
medical
just
environment.
see how it works.
Yeah, that's fine. That's been great. How are you, Meg? I'm great. How are you? I'm good. Come on in, are you master students? Yes. Come on in. Yeah, just find a seat. Hello.
Yes.
Oh, great.
That's
There's a left-hand chair corridor. Just head down the corridor and
I think I know some of you might know.
you're in the library. So yeah, there's a left turn soon
Good to meet you.
Now find your size. Hopefully popped in at the right point.
Loaded and ready to go.
Oh, wonderful. Hi, how are you?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Great.
We've got
All right.
3 BHN students that are here at the moment.
wonderful.
Joined in with the rest dietetics students.
So we've got about 26 BNDs here. The masters should be joining as well. So I know a couple of master students have joined. There might be a few more.
Do we have some streaming in? Or do we have anyone streaming in? Or it's...
Yeah, there will be people that will look on record, and also I'll tell, because obviously the BHNs are only different recording, but I'll tell them to, so we're going to make the both available. So I've just, the BHN students have just sort of gone off to the toilet, so just give them a moment.
All right, just let me know when to kick off.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
So what have you got after this, Meg?
30-minute gap, and then I'm doing a general orientation career session. So we had 40 along to our first one yesterday, and 20-minute presentation, about 40 minutes of everyone coming up and having questions, and then I'll be on the stall for a few hours. So I'll also mention that if people want to come on down and have a bit more of a chit chat. Sounds good. Sorry, it all flows quite nicely. I just thought I'd base myself here for the day. You know, we've got 2 in the city. I have a quick in the city tomorrow, and I'll be here to guide the international students. It's been
We'll just wait a couple of minutes.
No problem.
Join in.
They should go to my nutrition classes.
How many master's students have joined us? So 2 so far? You might get started if you're happy with me.
Absolutely.
So first of all, I just want to welcome the master's students that have joined us, and we'll spend a little bit more time down the track this morning talking about the master's program and where you're heading with the master's program. Also, we've had the BHN students have joined into the room as well, so welcome, and welcome to the nutrition family, as I like to say. I said that at the beginning, a bit cheesy, I know. But before we move on, I just want to introduce Meg Alexander to you, who's from the Career Development Centre. Meg's going to talk to you about the next half an hour or so about planning your career. As I said to the B&D students this morning, your career starts today. So yes. You're students and student health professionals, but your career and your career planning starts today. So
Absolutely.
I'll hand over to Meg. Thank you.
Welcome to Career Planning. I'm a career development consultant, and I'd firstly just like to acknowledge that this beautiful campus that we're delivering this presentation on is on the lands of the Kaurna people. It's a beautiful campus. I've had the privilege to work here for 26 years, having previously studied in clinical psychology here in another century, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. In this introduction to career planning, I'm going to talk a little bit about who we are, what we do along the way. Career Hub is where you find us, and we're on your Okta dashboard. So you're more than welcome to open up your devices and see if you can find Career Hub there, and we'll get you exploring some of those areas. And I'm going to be talking about a whole range of career development activities that you might want to think about. Don't think you have to do them all. There's a lot of stuff I'm going to put up on the screen there for you. It's really thinking through your time here at Flinders, and as Jolene's saying, here you are, welcome. You've got the time ahead of you to map out what you might want to do. So it's all very focused around the nutrition world, the nutrition family, as I think we'll term it, for this session. So hopefully some ideas to get you enthused and focused. So when you look on your Okta dashboard, just look for that Career Hub icon. Yeah, that flipped through a little bit. So just get used to that, bookmark it, visit it regularly, and we'll talk about some of the things you're going to find on there. There's a page for each of the areas. We've got a page for human nutrition, and we've got a page for nutrition and dietetics. So on that, you're going to find links where you can go off and explore careers in those areas. You're going to find, where can I search for jobs? What are some of the job boards? Because we'll be talking a little bit about keeping an eye on jobs, and some of the jobs you might even want to think about whilst you're studying, as well as some of the jobs you might want to think about when you've finished. So just giving yourself a regular space of time when you can monitor, set up job alerts, join talent communities on the organisations that interest you, and you're getting really fantastic information to inform your career planning. So they've got those job boards. We've got special tailored career toolkits for you. So resume resources, interview resources, cover letter resources specifically for the nutrition world, okay? As well as links to organisations in your sectors and a whole pile of other stuff too. So have a really good browse through those, and Carolyn, I think we can send through all of those links for people as a follow-up. So let's start with where you're at right now. We've got some people starting their degree, we've got some people coming in at that master's level. Let's see, what do you bring with you, and what does that mean? Because when we talk about career planning, it really starts with that assessment of you, knowing what your strengths are, what are my values, what are my interests, how might I bring all of this together into my career pathway, whatever that looks like for me. So taking stock of that is really, really valuable. From there, you can start to explore options, and you can start to really look at the options that are most appealing to you, those dream career pathways, the dream employers. You can then have a look at, well, what do those jobs entail? What are those employers looking for? And what might be some of the experiences that I want to develop? Okay? Because you all have in common, you're studying your nutrition degree, your nutrition and dietetics degree. So that's a big part of the journey and the skills you're going to develop. But you're a whole human who's going to be that practitioner. Again, whatever that looks like for you. So how are you going to nurture your interests to really create your points of difference and your unique career story? What do you want that to look like in a year's time, 2 years' time, 3 years, 4 years, whatever the study journey is going to unfold for you? So you can start to focus on your planning to develop those skills and experiences. And then along the way, it's right, how do I articulate who I am with all of these experiences that I'm developing? So that's where we're going in terms of talking about career planning. But starting off with you, take a look at that circle diagram. So it's a chance to really audit everything you have here day one. So some of you have prior degrees, some of you might have some certificates or short courses you've done or other learning that you do. So think about how you're going to operate in that academic space. What experience do you have related to your sector? Now, you may not have that experience yet, it's day one, but some of you might be working in the sector and skilling up. Some of you might have worked in other sectors and are changing tracks. Some of you might be looking forward to that first career starting point, okay? But you bring skills from all of those areas where you look at that space to go, okay, so maybe I don't have a lot of experience or any experience yet in that sector. What can I do to develop experience? Okay, so that might be for some placements, it might be volunteering, it might be getting some paid work. So we'll have a look at all of those strategies. Employment. Is anyone who's currently working in a casual job? Yeah, yeah. So don't ever overlook or underestimate the skills from working in those casual jobs. Employers love it. It's part of the story. Or it might be other career experience. But from that, they get a sense of you've got communication skills, there's resilience, there's maturity, there's relationship skills, teamwork skills, working under pressure, working in a team, solving problems. All of those skills are transferable. So that's got a place in the story. But again, take some time and think about, well, what might be some of my options to really develop that? And then who are you when you aren't working or studying? So sometimes we see those points of difference in that extracurricular space. So it might be cultural, musical, artistic, sporting, community activities that you love to do. So again, have some thought to over the next semester, over the next year, over the next couple of years, what might be some of the things I want to put into place. So we're going to talk through some of those strategies for you. It's all about creating that unique story of you, that when you're applying for those jobs down the track, you've got that wonderful set of experiences that you can share to that dream employer. So we talked a bit, don't worry too much about the fine print. I've just got a couple of examples. This one's nutritionist. So it does call for some experience in the nutrition and healthy lifestyle program and, programs and preventions. But what are some of the things they want? Relationship management skills, collaborations, build relationships, project management, report writing. So there are going to be some common skill sets that you see across a lot of these jobs. And when you go and have a look on a job board, throw around some keywords, have a look 3 to 5 years into that postgraduate future and start to see some of those roles that you might want to aspire to. Okay, so that's one example there. We've got one for the dietitians, and for this one I chose Peter MacCallum Cancer Centre. So they have graduate positions that they do put out each year. That might be a specialist interest that you have, for example. So if we again go down here, what are they looking? Hardworking, interpersonal, organisation, communication skills. You're going to see them again and again and again when you look at the job advertisements. So again, think what might be additional ways I can showcase those skills beyond purely my course of study. And what's another one? Passionate about working in oncology. So if you were over your, studies and placement experiences starting to think about that might be a setting I want to go into. Or it might be another setting. It might be I want to work in remote communities, or I want to work in aged care. You can start to think about what might be some of the things I put into place that start to make my career story shape to those settings. So just planting that seed there. And then how do you make the connections? We've looked at a couple of job advertisements. We've seen some of those common skill areas. How do you make the connections? And maybe you can look at your career map, your circle, in those 4 parts and start to see, oh yeah, okay, maybe I already do some volunteering so I could show some community values. Maybe I could demonstrate I can work in a team from that, or from my casual job. Or, maybe I'm really into sports, so I can show those values of building a team spirit, respect, integrity. Through the studies, achieving academically might show certain values, excellence, motivation, quality, drive, or placement feedback might show some of those skills. So you start to make those connections between all of the things you do in your life and those skills employers want. Okay, so just illustrating there's value in everything that you do. But you might want to start shaping that story. So here's a couple of examples. Are you the student who's really interested in health promotion and wants to go into rural remote health? So took an office in the Flinders University Rural Health Society, reads the weekly newsletter for remote health professionals, did a placement in the Northern Territory and does fundraising for the Royal Flying Doctor Service, and in your spare time likes exploring remote wilderness in Australia. Suddenly you've got a very direct package that you might then go, hey, I'm all about this. Equally, you could take that package and make it relevant to another setting, but I just want to show how you can think about cultivating those strands of interest into settings that you might particularly aspire to. Or again, if you're the one who's passionate about oncology, subscribes to palliative care matters, really love working in those settings on placement, volunteers to create wigs, turbans, beanies for people who've experienced loss of hair through treatment, and done some Mother's Day classic runs. Again, suddenly, there's a lot of connection you can show. So you can really do that quite strategically, but equally, anything you start to do is building and developing your professional profile and your resume. So just some ideas there. So look at job advertisements, start to reflect on what do I like, what don't I like, what's standing out to me. Start to think about, do you have mobility? Where are you looking for work? Are you looking in Adelaide? Are you like to be looking interstate? Are you looking city? Are you looking rural remote? So you can start to think about those areas. You can start to really map who is there. What can I do to stand out? I'll just skip through these fairly quickly because I think everyone's going to get a copy of the slides. But looking at the job boards, you start to get that sense of, well, what are some of the keywords? Nutrition advisor, food hub coordinator, health promotion graduate, community engagement, program coordinator. So start to play around with those keywords. For dietitian, obviously putting dietitian in there, but you'll also see it come up under health coach. So Bupa were advertising for health coaches, including people from that background. Health consultant. Look at the settings that you're going to find them. Private sector, hospitals, government sector. Okay? So start to familiarise yourself there. Now I know most of you are currently working in casual jobs. Maybe some of those connect already to the sector, but maybe you might have some plans to take that paid employment closer to your target role. Okay, so these are just some examples. They're from facility services providers, so they do some of the service delivery in hospital settings. ISS and Downer are some examples. Now these were up on their boards in January. They won't necessarily be there now, but they do come up from time to time. Diet liaison, menu monitor, food services assistant, cafe team member. So you could take your casual experience into a hospital setting, for example, as a barista, or an aged care setting. ISS currently have the cafe attendant. I think that's at Flinders Medical Centre. Barista skill is a bonus, but we're happy to train you up. Okay, so, you know, just again putting out that idea, do you want to take your brand into that setting? Or food services assistant, Modbury Hospital, Flinders Medical Centre. So just putting some ideas there. Compass Group is another one. Looking for hospitality, all-rounders, fine dining to healthy school nutrition, corporate functions, boardrooms, cafes, okay? You start to see some of those keywords flying off the page. So we'll give you these PowerPoints, okay? ACHA hospitals frequently will put up for food services assistant. Go on to the SA Health jobs page and you'll see things like catering attendant, dietetic assistant come up. So start to cue into who are these main employers. Can I sign up for a job alert or do I just do a weekly check-in if I'm looking for something in those spaces? Again, it's not something you have to have done by the end of next week. These are ideas you could map out over. That might be something I want to think about when I'm in second semester. Or that might be really good in my second year. Okay? It's just sprinkling those ideas out there. Just give a little check on timing. I think we're doing okay. So, any questions so far? Bit of information out there. We've had a bit of a look, where do you find Career Hub? Where am I at right now? How might my skills connect to what employers are looking for? What might be out there as I progress through my studies and when I leave my studies? And what might be some of the jobs I could do now if I want to go that way? Okay, so any questions as yet? Okay, because what we're going to do now is put up loads and loads of career development ideas. They're there to pick and choose from, okay? So, go local. I think you're going to be hearing a little bit about that in a moment, some of those great opportunities on campus. So have a look at what's around here for you. Join a committee, help on an event. You could be a wellbeing ambassador here. You could be a student ambassador here. Any opportunity to be a topic representative or get onto a committee. Fantastic way to get to know the Flinders world. And also build up great experience on the resume, whilst also contributing to everything that Flinders is. Okay, so have a look for those opportunities. It could be extracurricular things you do, community-based activity. We talked that could be sporting, artistic, cultural, musical. What makes you thrive? What gives you joy? And there's that experience space, whether that's paid, volunteer, placement. So some ideas to think about. have a look at that Flinders University Student Life page. It's a great page. They've really pulled together loads of ways that you can be involved here. So again, the club societies, sport and fitness, events, student view group, Inspire Mentor. There's loads of things you can tap into here. I think, as I said, Jane, you might be talking about associations and things like that, but what I put up here is just a few examples. Some are related academically, some might be general interest, and some are your sport and fitness ones. So it's, if you're interested in singing, you've got Duckapella. If you love debating, there's a debating society. So it doesn't all have to be centred on exactly that professional world. So remember, it's that holistic circle of you and what are your interests, what are your unique things that you love. Oasis, you can volunteer. They have a community market. So delivering free and low-cost food to students every Thursday. Flinders Mates, Wellbeing Ambassador Program. So have a look at Oasis. We have the Horizon Professional Development Award here as well. So it's a points-based award. It is official recognition from the university for things that you do outside of work and study that build your employability. So you can go from bronze, silver, gold, platinum levels of that award. They've already got their workshop series up for the semester, so it could be thinking critically, working in teams, workplace culture, lots of those fantastic skills development that you can do for free. You can also volunteer, joining professional associations and club societies also builds points. It parallels what you'll be doing as a professional. If you're a member of a professional society, you'll be doing continuous learning and logging that, so it gets you into that space as well. It enables you to even set some goals for yourself. What might be some skills I want to develop, that I want to focus on? Okay, now what can I do to get there? All right, so do have a look at that. It can really capture that passion to be a lifelong learner. And that's another thing that you're going to see in the world of health. When you look at job advertisements, people who are passionate about that ongoing learning. Okay, so it's ways that you can showcase your commitment. Sometimes people are interested in having a look at what's happening on campus and what are some jobs here. So we do have jobs at Flinders you can have a look at, and you'll find that there are some professional registers there that you can join, casual pools. There's also periodically, the university advertises for paid student ambassadors, could be leading tours, working on open day, doing things like that. So another opportunity to pick up that engagement here. The community. So professional associations, obviously some are specific, some are broader. But you've got Health Promotion Association, Public Health Association, your specific Dietitians Australia, Nutrition Society of Australia. Often your student membership's cheap, so they do discount it. If joining's not an option, you might follow them on their socials and see if there's events that you want to engage with. So have a look at those options. I'm sure you'll hear more about that in the next session. Another thing you can do for nothing and really easy is just sign up to sector news. Who's doing what? Who's leading in the sector? Who's doing innovative programs? So you can look at employers or associations that interest you and start signing up to their blogs and news. Something that you can add onto the interest section of your resume too. So a couple of quotes from graduates. We've got one from Nutrition, Dale, who was working at the time as therapeutic mentor, wellbeing practitioner and a nutrition and dietetic assistant, really emphasising the importance, volunteer, great way to connect with the right people. You can share those experiences at interview, helps with that career navigation. Networking at events to meet people, partnering up with other health professionals. So a few ideas from Dale, but just that importance of, I think what that's really saying is make connections. Another one here. How do I stand out? And putting conscious effort into it. Extra effort to volunteer, mentor, and just get involved in as many things as possible. So talking about volunteering, you've got to juggle all the things you need to juggle. So you might be working, you might be parenting, you're managing your study load. So it might just be something to think strategically about in terms of, well, what might I do and where might that be? Volunteering can range from getting involved in a one-off event through to, a commitment to do anywhere from 1 to 3 hours a week of volunteering. So you need to think strategically, you need to think wisely about how you might balance that in. So we got some ideas for you on those pages on Career Hub, whether it's Diabetes SA, Meals on Wheels, Oz Harvest, Food Bank. So there's a few of those ideas, but there's also those one-off. So I mentioned the Mother's Day Classic, raising funds for breast cancer research. So they look for people, can you help with registrations? Can you be a wayfinder on the day? So it's a commitment of one day. Sometimes there's the opportunities to be involved with an organising committee in the lead up. The Memory Walk and Jog Australia, they're currently on Career Hub, are looking for volunteers for their event. I think it's in March. So again, if you're thinking towards aged care or just showing some community involvement, that's another one to pick up and try. What are some other examples? Events and festivals. Another one, Coast Trek. They need September 2024 and raising money for the Heart Foundation. Farmers Market, if you love your food, healthy food. One Sunday morning a month. So they've got a kitchen and kids club, information stand, meet and greet, composting monitors, and just the event setup. So again, that might connect to you, that might not. But what might be some other things? Food bank, drivers, truck and van, food hub volunteer, warehouse volunteers. So some opportunities there. Oz Harvest, another one. Do have out of hours events, Bunnings sausage sizzles, community festivals. Join the Oz Harvest family. Okay, so throwing those around. And as we talked about, your own unique interests. It's about finding, growing, expanding, exploring that unique you. We talked a bit about the sector placements or just ways of gaining any kind of sector experience. So think creatively about that. You've got anything from Aurora internships, so welcoming Indigenous, non-Indigenous applicants for a whole range of organisations, health, education, research, policy, community. So there are those possibilities. CSIRO have a whole section devoted to nutrition. You can subscribe to their newsletter. So that might be of interest. Appleton Institute, they were looking for some vocation work program, psychology, public health, health science related areas, looking at behavioural health, sleep, physical activity, sedentary behaviour, nutrition. Okay? So you never know quite what's going to pop up, so start tapping into those networks. Another really good idea, if you're on LinkedIn, if you're not, get on LinkedIn. You can start to make connections with your peers because you're going to be a network going forward. Make connections with your teaching staff. If you've got a guest lecturer, connect with them. Connect as you go along. You can start to join groups on LinkedIn. You can start to follow organisations on LinkedIn. LinkedIn will suggest jobs for you. So it's a really good platform to capture that growing professional identity. You might have a couple of versions of the resume. One might be about casual jobs or the employment that you're doing whilst you're studying. One might be capturing that sense of you as that nutrition professional. Okay, so you're really thinking about that audience. You can start to make connections with alumni. So Flinders have an alumni page and you can start to have a look at, well, where are people from my course gone? What are they doing? What had their stories look like? And there's a little bit we've captured there, health, public health, nutrition. So you see research pathways, mental health pathways, sector roles, corporate health group, social supermarket project coordinator. You start to discover job titles that you maybe have never heard of. Nutrition, dietetics, they're all over the world, all over the country and international. So, checking where we're at, nearly got to finish. Career Hub, you can check for upcoming events, you can have a look at jobs, and all your resources are there. Couple of things I will flag. We've got some work whilst you study sessions where you meet employers coming up on the 21st. We're going to have health, community, aged care, disability sectors, and there's one on the 18th for the hospitality, retail and admin. So that's all on our events. You can search vacancies. And so some goals for 2024. Hone your awareness of the sector. What is your sector looking for? What professional skills do you want to grow over your time here? Aim to be that professional student, making professional connections with everyone in your world. Be in that mindset, emerging nutrition professional. Identify, develop your points of difference. Who you are, what do you have to offer? How are you going to bring value? How are you going to stand out? What's going to really show who you are? But along the way, have an absolutely fantastic year. You're in a wonderful setting. You've got fantastic people around you. There's loads and loads of opportunities, support and resources. So you've got a great team, harness it and really think about where you want to be. And we do wish you all the very best. So any questions quickly before we go to the next session? I will be on the stalls here, so I'm doing another session at 11 till 11:30 and then I'm heading down. So if you want to come and have a chat one-on-one, I'll be wherever the stalls are.
Here at Stir?
Yeah.
I'll be down by the outside the cafe.
Yeah, somewhere there. I'll work that out after I've done my presentation. Okay, thanks. Thanks for having me. Thank you. Yeah.
Good morning everyone, my name is Jane Barber. I'm the Student Experience Coordinator. So what that means is I'm involved in providing experiences for students. So I'm going to let you know about some of the experiences you can be involved in. Is my mic on? You can hear me okay?
It's a bit faint. You might just need a holder. It might be one.
Oh, that's it. Okay, I think is that better now? Yep. And also, as part of my role, there's a pastoral care role. So if any of you are struggling as part of your studies, then you can actually come and make an appointment to see me and I can refer you to other services. And sometimes that's useful to speak to someone outside of your topic or outside of the area that you're studying. So you may hear from me if you are studying and I might ask if you want to catch up, so there is that support there. I'm going to continue on talking about what Meg has spoken about. So she talked about some of the ways that you can be involved, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the associations that are relevant for you. The first one is the Dietitians Australia Association. I'm on the SA branch committee, and it's a dedicated group of people who are the leading voice in nutrition. So if you're a nutrition and dietetics student, then you're eligible to join that. And so this talks about who they are, building healthy communities. So they're an advocacy body, and they also set our standards for our dietetic practice through accreditation. And they also provide some fantastic professional development opportunities for you in the way of workshops, online materials, resources, and a conference each year. And that's also a place where you can look for nutrition and dietetic positions. So for students who are studying nutrition and dietetics, it's actually free. So I'd recommend that all of you who are doing the nutrition and dietetics degree, that you sign up and you take opportunity for this, because it's actually, once you graduate, you have to pay a little bit for that. Couple of dates for your diary that Dietitians Australia are putting on. So if you want to get your phones out and put them in your phones, that's fine. First one is that for the nutrition and dietetics students, there's a networking event where you get a chance, or take a photograph, that's a great idea. There's an opportunity for you to meet dietitians who are working in the profession and other students from other years. And it's a walk at Brighton Jetty, and that's going to happen on the 7th of April. You do need to register for that, so it's just a matter of either contacting me or going to the Dietitians Australia website and registering there, so we know, and you get a free coffee. Another one is that the student reps here for Dietitians Australia are organising a student event, so you can come. It's only an hour, it's on a Thursday afternoon, it's based here. You have a chance to find out a little bit more about what Dietitians Australia have to offer. Another subgroup is the Sports Dietitians Australia. Now the great news is that if you are a human nutrition student, you are eligible also to join SDA, Sports Dietitians Australia, as a student. So for all of you, it's free. So if you have an interest in sports nutrition or think you might, this is another organisation to join up to. And there is going to be a meeting that's happening at Flinders in the City, which is a big building at Victoria Square. And you can let me know if you're interested in coming to that. And you can hear from sports dietitians and nutritionists who are working in the field, and we're going to plan some professional development activities. As part of that, there is this magazine called Refuel, which has got some really good articles about sports nutrition.
James, just excuse me, is that the right location? I'm just...
Flinders in the City, it's at Victoria Square. In the city.
Isn't it the New City complex?
It's not the New City complex, it's the Flinders building at Victoria Square.
Okay. I thought that included down, sorry, my bad. Moved to the new one, but...
So it's near where the tram stops, the Glenelg tram stop is at Victoria Square. And then for all of you as either a Bachelor of Human Nutrition or nutrition students, there's Nutrition Society of Australia. So they're a little bit different to Dietitians Australia. I'm also a member of them. They have some fantastic events in Adelaide. One I went to recently was about gut health, and I learnt a lot about the latest research in gut health. They're very much a more broader nutrition, a lot of research that they bring. There's also a conference that students get reduced cost to going to that. But there is a cost for NSA for BHN and BND students. It's $44 a year. It's still great value, because if you go to their events, there's a dinner that's free. So if you go to the dinner, then it's paid for itself pretty much. Plus there's other events throughout the year, and for master's students or anyone who's postgraduate, it is actually more expensive. It's $88. So both of those associations are worth checking out. So student experience, so this is me. I've talked about organising nutrition activities and communicating with you what's going on, and linking you to university supports. So some of the things that you can get involved in on campus, Meg mentioned the Flinders Community Market. So that is an opportunity for you to help at the market where produce is donated. What I wasn't aware of is that some of our previous students did a survey across the campus and found that quite a large proportion of our students on campus are food insecure. That is, they have identified that sometimes they don't have enough money to have sufficient food or choices of food, and so the community market helps provide cheap food, and there's an opportunity for you to volunteer. There's also opportunities for you to volunteer to do some cooking demonstrations at that market as well. Another way that you can get involved is the course management student rep. So for each course, the Bachelor of Human Nutrition and Nutrition and Dietetics Bachelor degree and the Masters, we are looking for course reps for each year. So we would really love someone from, or some of you from today, to either let myself or Carolyn or Jolene know if you'd be interested in being a course rep. So what that involves really is for sending out a survey to your peers, and then twice a year feed that back to a group of us. So that is a really important role, because we listen to that feedback on how your studies are going, different topics that you're learning about, and we either make changes ourselves or we feed that back to other areas. So for example, chemistry or biology, those topics, there we feed that back to those, and changes can be made.
Jane, can I just add to that?
Yep.
We will put a call out in a few weeks' time regarding the course management reps, because there's also the college reps as well. So sometimes it's like a dual role where you are a rep for our program to the college as well as the course management reps. So just keep an eye out. One of us will put a call out asking for volunteers. We need one from every year level of the programs.
So another program that I help to organise is called STEW, or Students Eat Well. So this is an opportunity for you as nutrition and dietetics students to practice some of your nutrition skills or develop them on campus. So and is actually providing nutrition-related education to other members or other students on campus. And it helps build those social connections and your identity as a nutrition and dietetics student, as well as developing those skills. So these are some of the things we've done in the past. Each year we during National Nutrition Week in October, we have a stall where we talk to passers-by about nutrition. I've mentioned the cooking classes that we do. This is 3 of our students that have done a cooking presentation, and we've got some students here that went out to the Repat Hospital at one of their open days, and they actually provided some nutrition activities for passers-by. There's a whole range of other things. It could be organising a supermarket tour, it could be writing a nutrition blog. So these are real activities that you would be doing as a nutritionist working in the community or in the workplace, and you get to practice those with support on campus. And so I'm going to organise some training soon. So what I'm looking for is for you to come to me either after this session or send me an email and let me know if you're interested in the training session. And then once I've got some names together, we'll organise a time that suits you. It's a 2-hour session, and we give you some updates, some skills on food handling, some presentation skills, recipe modification, how to do a cooking demo. And
just want to clarify that it is for both degree human nutrition and nutrition
Yes.
dietetics students. It's not solely
Yeah. And there's also a mentoring program that I'll mention in a moment. Another date for your diary, if you are an international student, if you want to take a photograph of this, I've got together with one of the lecturers from speech pathology, and we are planning to gather students in our courses who are international students to have a picnic at Kingston Park Beach, and that'll be on the 14th of March. So if you're an international student, let me know if you're interested. You could just turn up to that, but it would be great to know if you're coming. And you can meet other international students. Meg talked about some of the societies and clubs that are on campus. There's a couple that I just want to mention specifically. The first one is the Flinders University Rural Health Society, or FIRS. So they are actually looking for a nutrition or a dietetics rep. There is an allied health rep, but they're looking for someone particularly from nutrition. And what they do is, as students, they link with other health clubs, rural health clubs around Australia. So there's 29 of them, and they actually do field trips to various locations around the state. And so that's paid for by the university. They might do visits to high school. They also have nights where they have case studies, where they look at particular clients which are interdisciplinary. So they might have a physio, they might have someone from paramedicine, they might have a medical student, or they might have some nutrition input as well. So if you are from the country, you're interested in working in the country, you think that rural health might be something that you are interested in the future, I would definitely recommend you join the Rural Health Society. Now, just in time, we've got Sarah who's arrived to talk about the Flinders University Nutrition Club. So do you want to come up, Sarah? While Sarah's getting that ready, I'll tell you a little bit about peer mentoring. So we have a peer mentoring program where we have third-year students that will, they act as mentors for all of our first-year students, whether you're in the Bachelor of Human Nutrition or the Bachelor of Nutrition and Dietetics program. And actually, Sarah is going to be one of those peer mentors as well, talking to us about Nutrition Club. So the mentoring program is an opt-in, so all of you will be allocated a mentor, and you can decide how much you want to engage with that mentor. So they will come to you. They might ask to meet with you and a group in your geographic location, so you'll have a mentor group. You might want to meet on campus or near where you live, or you might not want to do that at all. And throughout the year, they'll give you some tips and information about and support along the way. A great resource, and I recommend that you use them. For the master's students here as well? Yep. The master's students, you also have final year students who are on placement, and they can give you some support, and they particularly support with things like study tips for exams and the oral vivas. So nothing you have to do, but just to let you know that you will have peer mentors being in contact with you, and I would make the most of their knowledge.
Sorry, Jane, will you set up the Masters one shortly?
Yes.
That's not today, I know that much, but you'll be in contact with them.
Yes, yeah. So I've done the training for the Masters mentors, and now you're here. They'll be in contact with you shortly. Yeah. Okay. You want
Cool.
to?
Yeah, we can.
Have you got a,
I don't know if that adapter will work. It's not fit. I think it was.
that one doesn't work?
Sorry, guys, bear with us.
Have you got a USB?
I don't actually. Hang on, this one fits. Oh God!
Are there any questions while Sarah's setting up about any of the activities on campus?
Perfect. Amazing. This first.
Jane, if anyone wants to do the Oasis market, do they just get in contact with you?
Yes. Yeah.
Just unplug a second.
And is that starting straight away, do you know? Or?
That, as far as I'm aware, they haven't got a date to start yet. But they usually have to wait to recruit.
Annoying that it's on the other side. There we go. Perfect. Amazing.
Yeah, that should.
Let's hope for the best. Oh, thank you.
No, it's not coming up though.
Thank you. Okay.
It's not coming up. Oh, there we go. It's there.
That looks promising.
Just the other thing I want to let you know is if you haven't got a name badge, if you could, there should be some blank name badges. And what I'd like to do is take a photograph of you with your name badge if you are happy for that to occur. And that will be used just for our own purposes within our own Nutrition and Dietetics department. We're not going to circulate it anywhere else. We find it really useful when we're sitting in a classroom with people and we can recognise your faces before you come, even if it might be in third year that we actually don't see you till then. If you want to opt out of that, that's okay. So I'll be grabbing you with my phone sort of later on.
Hello everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sarah. I know lots of familiar faces in the crowd from life circumstances or from if you've seen me on the stall at the Flinders University Nutrition Club. So I am the elected new president of the Nutrition Club, also known as FUNK. That's usually what we colloquially use as our terminology. It's called FUNK. If you don't know by now, we love our acronyms at Flinders. So Flinders University Nutrition Club. So basically, you guys are about to embark on all of your academic journey, but as Jolene's probably explained or Jane has explained, you guys are going to be thrown into lots of topics with people from all different areas. They might be forensics, medicine, whatever. So this might not, you might not be able to identify a lot of people in this room for a little while. We've lost it. So the social club, basically, FUNK, is where you guys can sort of interact with each other in other year levels of nutrition and dietetics or human nutrition. We also have some exercise science people. So it's a really fantastic opportunity to come to social events and things like that. So then when you do see your friends in your classes, you can be like, hey, and then it's a really good conversation starter. As well as, making some really great friends through the club, which I have also been very lucky to make friends through the club. There we go. Oh, we need to go back a bit. Yeah. There we go. Okay, about me. So, that's confronting. So I, am the club president, and I am going into my second year of the Bachelor of Nutrition and Dietetics. So I was quite literally in your exact position last year. I know how it feels. There's probably a lot of information you've just received, so I'll try and keep it brief because I understand it can be quite overwhelming. So I'm going into my second year, and which is quite interesting because a lot of the sort of committee members of the nutrition club are usually from older year levels, but that really shows that there's, if you seek opportunities here, you can absolutely have really amazing opportunities like being on the committee, and so we'd love for you to get involved because it's great for personal, professional development. It's not just about what looks good on your CV, but it does because it's technically volunteering, and you're getting involved with the club, you're learning so much about event organisation, things like that, but by joining up to the club, it doesn't mean you're on the committee. So if you'd like to be on the committee, come and chat to me after, or you can flick me a message. I'll have my contact details up after. But definitely join in with the club, and you can be involved with some of our events. By joining up, it's completely free. You're not committing to anything. It's just a kind of communication forum for you guys to be involved. I'll get into some of the events we run very shortly. Some of my hobbies are cooking, long walks on the beach, and working out at the gym. I know I wrote this and I was like, like a Tinder profile. I'm like, not looking for that right now, but I do like my long walks on the beach. And cooking, I'll quickly, briefly mention, because you guys have probably been overwhelmed with information about like volunteering and like working in the industry. So you can see in one of those photos, I worked for Sprout Cooking School. So I've been working there for about 3 years. A lot of people ask me, did you want to be a dietitian first, or did you want to, lost it again. That's right. Anyway, just
Jiggle it, I think it's probably all of them. Like it. And then wake up the computer.
Oh, okay, maybe it's just
flip it up.
it's back on.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, perfect. So yeah, I actually wanted to be a dietitian, it's like chicken or the egg, but I actually wanted to be a dietitian before I worked for Sprout. So quickly about like networking, basically I attended like a wellbeing sort of network event, and I met Callum Hand, who was on MasterChef, and his business partner is a dietitian, but he is the sort of chef. And I was chatting to him about how I wanted to be a dietitian, and he was like, oh, we've got a whole bunch of dietitians working for us, you do placement with us. And I was like, oh, awesome. And he was like, if you want a job, come join. So the rest is history, really. So it's really awesome. That's an example of me like at a wedding, which is like serving food, so you'll learn a lot about dietary stuff, but I also teach kids cooking classes and coordinate the adult cooking classes. So that's just an example of kind of working in the industry. I'm getting very off topic here from the club, but I think it might be sort of interesting information that is kind of good to know, especially as first years. I also love to host dinner parties for my friends, so that's also my nutrition part. That's me making some food, and also me volunteering at the Nutrition Society of Australia at the Science Alive. So later on in the year, you will get asked if you want to do that. It was awesome, really lots of fun to meet some lovely ladies from the CSIRO who are obviously good contacts for the dietitians who work in one area of dietetics, which is awesome. And also really quickly, I also tutor in nutrition, which is another great way to, if you are a gun at high school nutrition or biology or chemistry, it's a really great way to sort of revise the information, because while if you're not a dietitian, you're not allowed to give any specific advice, it's really good to just kind of help revise the content for yourself, and for obviously teaching other people is a really awesome platform to do that. And also with my PT qualifications, I'm a support worker, so we do like meal prep, that kind of like healthy food ordering, stuff like that. And that's a really awesome way to, just some ideas of like, don't feel overwhelmed. I can overcommit myself, and it really interferes with my study. So don't do that. It's just like a starting point of like some ideas that you might be able to, because you're probably, Jolene, everyone's probably said that you all graduate with the same degree. You do need to kind of stand out, but it's true. You do have to get some workplace information, and being involved with a club or something like that is a really, really great platform to get sort of experience in different areas and professional development. So yeah, anyway. So about Funk, we have a picnic coming up. So we have usually like quarterly picnics. So it's basically we just come along, you get some free snacks. It's literally just a bit of fun to talk to people, networking, whatever. Our pub crawl is coming up. It'll be at the end of semester, end of this semester. So if you probably, has anyone like been on a university pub crawl or anything like that? No, so they're a pretty big thing. Last year our theme was Drink the Rainbow, which was, anyway, we're working on some ideas this year, maybe the Australian Guide to Unhealthy Drinking. Anyway, we'll run it past you guys before we make the t-shirts. But yeah, that's a really awesome way to get involved. I don't drink personally, but it was a super awesome, there's lots of people who, it's just about getting involved, having fun, and it was just this is the best time. And I got really close with one of my best friends now, Natalie, and this is some of my other girlies in the course who are lovely and have gotten a lot closer through events like this, which I never would have talked to them. And now if I have a class with them, I can sit with them. It's really awesome. So come join. Bake sales as well, really fun. We get to sort of make somewhat healthy things, and we get to sell it. It's all like non-for-profit. It all goes back into the club, any of the money that we make. Movie night we may or may not do in conjunction with, it's called an AGM, an annual general meeting, which will be coming up too. If you would like to be on the committee, that's a really great way to start. You literally just attend, and we kind of talk about the funding and about like what we have coming up, and if you have any ideas to bring to the table about what kind of events you'd like, that is a perfect format for that. We also have an end of year ball. It kind of went off last year, not gonna lie. It was really, really fun. I'm sure you've probably heard all about the uni balls and stuff, especially if you're haven't studied before. They're really, really fun, and the nutrition one, we had a really good turnout, considering we have such small cohorts. And you can bring your partner along, and it's so much fun, and we try and, yeah, just have a good time. So yeah, that's some of the examples of events. So yeah, upcoming, welcome picnic will be week 2, Anchor Court. Does anyone know where Anchor Court is? Yes. Yeah, you know, so it's on Bedford Park campus. How do I explain this? I don't know.
It's like past the Lake 2 biology area,
yeah,
isn't it?
It's like the biology precinct. You can have a look on a map or on
and there's a big anchor.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
There's a big anchor.
I didn't even know that. So yeah, it is booked in. It's literally just free snacks. Will be heaps of fun. You can just chat to me if you have any questions as well. I'm more than happy to help you guys out, because I know it's quite overwhelming to start with, so I'm very open. So that is a really good platform, especially if you're getting into studying, you have lots of questions to bring. That's a really great platform. And again, the AGM will be in contact. Cool. So now I'll give you a minute or two to scan the QR code, get your phones out, and so that's it's the link to put your name down. And then here is our Instagram, where a lot of the I do a lot of the communication through Instagram or Facebook. I've got another QR code for Facebook on the next page. I feel like I've talked very fast. You guys probably don't have the mental energy for this right now, but yeah, sorry. Oh, we've lost it. There we go. Awesome. So just pop your name down, and yeah, I'll be in contact, so you can work. I'll just put all the information for upcoming events and stuff. By joining, it's free. You're not committing to anything, but please be in contact with me if you would like to be involved with the committee stuff, because that's really where you're getting your professional development and CV stuff, which is, again, completely free. It's not a big commitment, low commitment. And yeah, I think that's probably all from me for now. I'll put up the Facebook as well. And then if you want to take a photo of any of my contact details, my email, whatever, LinkedIn, if you want to contact me through that, whatever works. So then if you have any questions at any time, a lot of you know me already, so yes.
Sorry, can you both go back to the
Yeah, for sure, sorry. Going a bit fast. That one?
That was my bad.
Or the
yeah,
join up?
yeah,
That
thank
one?
you.
Perfect.
Thank you, sorry.
Amazing.
Sarah, can I just add something else?
Yes, absolutely.
You've kind of said it already, but you may, I just mentioned to the BHN students earlier that the study plan, your first semester, you're doing very, like, a lot of science-based topics, not any nutrition topics, and so you might sort of come along, you're doing this nutrition degree and you're not doing anything nutrition to start with and feeling a bit like, what am I doing here? But the nutrition club is a way that you can actually gather and get to know other people doing nutrition, and then you might see them in some of the science topics and connecting with them rather than feeling a bit lost with so many other degrees, which you did mention. So, you know, getting involved, especially in this first semester when the topics aren't sort of specifically nutrition, might be something you want to consider.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. And I've met some of my really close uni friends through clubs and have really created amazing relationships who even got an invite to my dinner party. So, you know, I will hang around for a bit as well if you want to come up to me. I know I had some awesome chats with some of you lovely ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah, I'm really here to help you guys as much as you need. So, yeah.
Is Amy here as well?
I think you said to come at 11:30. I reckon, so it might be a little bit, a bit ahead of schedule.
Can I just add, in terms of what Carolyn was saying, not being able to kind of find each other, I was just talking to someone from OT, and in their orientation session, I mean, you can do it now at this time, they actually all together created like a Facebook Messenger kind of group. While they were all here in the room, and everyone just joined it so that you can actually keep in touch and again, you can engage as much or as little as you want to, but it was kind of a way of having everybody's names, which you actually don't even know everyone's names, having everyone's names, and you could touch base and find out where people are at with different things. So maybe when you go to the peer mentor session, if that's what you're keen to do, then you could.
Yeah, I know Sophie's made a group chat she can add you guys. So I know, I've talked to other people who are like, is there a group chat? But usually there's like one that starts and you don't know other people, so just try and come together, because that's what when I made the group chat for our year level, there's still people missing and it's really hard to communicate stuff. So I totally agree. That's really a good thing to do.
Well, you made me want to join, so. But I know I'm not
great. Come along.
Yeah, we don't get to go to the ball either.
That's I'm sure
guys.
we can sneak you in.
I don't think you want your lecturers at the ball.
I don't know. It'll be pretty fun.
You made me laugh, Sarah, when you asked, does everyone know where Anchor Court is?
Yeah.
And I've been at the uni 20 years, and I studied here before that. And I never knew there was an anchor in Anchor Court until last year.
That's crazy. There you go.
And then I saw the anchor.
Yeah, you guys can see the anchor now. You guys are ahead of the game.
Link is on.
Do you want us to go next door now?
Well, I think we're running early, and you need the other peer mentor here. Is that right?
Well, we can get started.
You can get started. Okay. So before the sort of the B&D and the BHN students move into the other room for kind of the peer mentoring part, I just wanted to give the B&D students an opportunity to ask me any questions if you had any questions before you kind of head off, because then I won't see you again until the kind of gathering in the courtyard for those that can attend, and I'm happy to take questions then. But did you have any questions for me so far?
Can you get like specific tutors for like chemistry, biology?
As in outside of the class?
Yeah, or like
Yeah, so there is the student support services, the student learning, SLSS. So you can go there and seek extra support, and they will also have suggestions in terms of tutors if you wanted to like employ a tutor of your own. Yeah.
They have at Silk, that's another acronym, I don't know what it stands for, but Silk, they have amazing tutors for biology. They're all free. It's really, really great platform to use for that. But for chemistry, I don't know. I think it's like they have like sessions, and you can just email like first year biology and get you a tutor, and it's all like.
So what is it? SILK or C?
SILC.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely really good. But for chemistry, I think they have tutors, but it's more bio that they're really, really supportive.
So I would always suggest, if you think that you might need a tutor in an area, whether it's chemistry or biology, if you contact the topic coordinator, then they can often put you in the right direction of seeking that extra support, whether it's freely available or whether they've got sort of a suggested list of tutors who, for a small amount of payment would be able to help you out as well. Thank you so much for coming in, Sarah, and for making it all sound so exciting. So I guess what I'll do is I'll put this up here so that we can see.
Are we going straight into mentor?
Yeah, we're going to go next door.
Go next door first.
Yeah.
Amazing.
No, this is going to. Oh, there we go. All right. So what I might do is, allow the B&D students and the Bachelor of Human Nutrition students to go into the room next door.
And then we will have the master students in here. Sarah, you might want to talk that.
That would be a good subject.
How are you?
Good, how are you? Eliza asked me, told me that you were doing it. I was like, oh, great. And because she said that you'd be really lost, and I was like, that's okay, I'll help her out. Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Oh, it's there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
How are you guys doing?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sasha,
Yeah.
so if you sign up for the QR code,
It's almost like 10
That is absolutely fine. We understand that like a lot of the time there's classes that live or things like that. Yeah, it's always going to happen. So just attend what you can and
it's like a huge majority.
no, it's not a problem. We're not we're not being like, where's yours? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, no, it's really good. It's really best. Yeah.
When did you join it? Was it first year?
Yeah, technically my first year, but I didn't really do anything. So, oh, I'm too
Where is it?
Yeah, where are you doing?
Yeah, we're
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
And why dietitian?
Huh?
Is it nutrition? Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that too.
Okay, awesome. Sounds like we need you. I haven't touched it since grade 9.
Yeah, I did it. I had to like electives in mine up, so
Oh.
half year. So,
It's okay, we've only got one semester.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, that's message. Yes.
That's a bit weird.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What was your name, sorry? I'm Jess. What's your name? Georgina or Georgie. And you are Sophie?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you guys. Me too. You look like you might be a bit older. Yeah, I'm 2 years. Well, I graduated 2 years ago.
So what was your name? Chloe O'Connor. I've got O'Connor. I've got a Chloe McPherson in my mind as well. And how are you going, Chloe?
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Ready to get started?
Yeah.
Chloe, meet Emily. Emily, meet Chloe. So we do have more than two. Okay. So don't worry. Last count we had 17. We have 17 students joining in the N&D, and just trying to think that's 1 or 2 international students, and the rest are domestic students. And I think how many boys? I have 1 or 2 boys. Not many. Okay. And obviously from a wide range of backgrounds. So some career change, some have done an undergrad nutrition degree and come straight in. So yeah, it's kind of quite
very good. So I do have slides I have to go through, only because it's being recorded and then it's made available for all of those that haven't attended. So it feels a bit odd. I'd rather sit down and just have a chat. So yeah, it's a bit odd.
So we should save questions then to the end of the recording's finished, is that best? Or?
Yeah, or you can go them out.
Okay.
Make it sound like there's lots of people in the room. So yeah, I don't know, because when I only like have 2 people, I start thinking like, oh, what has gone wrong in terms of like the invitations?
Yeah.
How did you get invited to the session?
We didn't.
Yes.
Because I think the email came out about the lunch and said details to follow in due course, and then nothing was forthcoming, so I just looked on the website on week activities.
Right. And so, and it was kind of flagged as MND for 10 o'clock?
Yeah, you had to obviously actively search for your course, but there was no
notification. Email invite was supposed to go out, or an email, alert was supposed to go out to MND students saying it's 10 till 12:30 or the time was. And the room and all of that.
It didn't, so yeah, I was going to email you, but then I thought, oh, before I email, I'll just check, maybe we're supposed to just look on the website.
Well, no, I did wonder, because when I got your email, and I was like, oh, like, you should, I was kind of thinking, oh, why don't you know that? Because I thought everything had gone out.
So I should have emailed him then.
No. And then I was like looking, and I thought, well, it's on the website, and the stuff like the college were doing all the invitations, we don't do those. And then I was kind of thinking, oh, God, I hope it's gone out. And all of it,
yeah.
So I'll have to follow that up because everyone else might have come if they had known about it.
Righty-o. Oh, these things always happen, unfortunately. Let me wire myself up. Hopefully they'll look at the recording later. So you would have both got an email from me with a study plan?
Yes.
Yeah. Excellent. Plug it in. Okay. So I'm not sure if anyone is actually watching online because I can't see it on here. So I'm just going to run through some slides for, in terms of information for the master's students. So we've got some here in the room, and hopefully the others are either online or can watch the recording a little bit later. For those of you that weren't here at the beginning of the day, my name is Jolene Thomas and I'm the course coordinator of the Masters and the Bachelor of Nutrition and Dietetics. In terms of, I guess, a little bit about me, because I get to hear a lot about you over the coming time, but yeah, I graduated from Flinders many moons ago now, more than I'd care to remember, and worked as a clinical dietitian post-graduation for a number of years in Adelaide at different hospitals, and then I made the move to do, I found that I enjoyed having students on placement and teaching students and being like a clinical educator with students, and so made the move to sort of come to Flinders in a bit more capacity. So I spent some time working part-time here at Flinders and part-time in the clinical field. So I kind of had a foot in both camps. And then after a couple of years of that, I then moved to Flinders full-time. And so I've been here in one of those capacities since 2004. So I've been here quite a while. In terms of my role, so obviously as course coordinator, I'm responsible for the quality of the programs and also ensuring that it meets our accreditation requirements. So at the end of the program, you can be accredited with DA and be able to call yourself a dietitian. We're currently going for reaccreditation. You may be aware of that. So our reaccreditation paperwork is due at the end of April. So we're busy pulling that together, and our current accreditation is valid through till the end of November. We don't have any concerns that it won't get reaccredited, so don't worry that you're starting a program and you might not have a program after this year. There's no concerns about that at all. It's just a 5-yearly thing that we go through. So obviously that's part of my role as course coordinator, is to ensure that we meet accreditation, but also in a supportive capacity to ensure that you progress through your studies, that you are successful and meet your requirements at the end of the program. So I'm here as a support person and to help you guide you and help you through that path that you've got ahead of you. I've got teaching commitments. So in terms of teaching, this year I'll be teaching in the nutrition care process topic in semester 1 of the Masters. So I'm coordinating and teaching into that, and then the research topics in final year, in second year. So that's where I'm teaching at the moment. So being from a clinical background, I tend to focus on clinical research and clinical teaching. In terms of my research component of my position, because I'm what they term a teaching and research staff member, then I have research KPIs that I'm research allocation as well, and my research interests are in older adults of varying types, and also malnutrition screening and assessment. So they're my kind of two aspects, and they do collide sometimes. So that's a little bit about me. But in terms of, given there's not many in the room, have you had an opportunity? You probably haven't had an opportunity to talk so far, but what I would like to do is just for you to have a chat amongst yourselves just for a couple of minutes, just to introduce yourself. What have you, where have you come from? What have you been doing previously? Why are you here? As in, why do you want to do dietetics? And what are you looking forward to? But maybe also think about, well, what am I not looking forward to, or what are some of the challenges that I'm concerned about? So I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that.
I'm bachelor. Okay. One of the third year. Oh, you're so like.
That's your areas, yeah. Yeah, okay.
So I guess I'm looking for
yeah. Yes.
Okay, so hopefully you can, think about those things that you're looking forward to, and maybe some of the challenges or things that you're less looking forward to, and hopefully those things aren't as daunting as, don't turn out to be as daunting as what you currently envisage. I would ask for the group to share what they, share, or, share someone else's details, but I won't do that given the small number that are in the room. So in terms of the Masters program, it is a 2-year full-time program with the aim of, that it does promote evidence-based nutrition. So I was saying a little bit earlier to the undergrad students how, as a dietitian or as a health professional, we're really hot and strong on being evidence-based in any thing that we learn, anything that we teach, but also in the advice that we give to our patients, clients, groups, whatever, wherever we end up finding ourselves in terms of work. I was saying how, things like what we read on TikTok, those kind of things, we tend to steer away from. And I was saying how My daughter this morning was telling me about some things that she'd self-diagnosed herself with, given her interactions with TikTok that she'd been having over the last few days. And I was like, oh gosh. But it does happen, and it's becoming more and more of a, I guess, a minefield that we work in, and how to, support the evidence that's there, but also dispel some of that kind of the myths and the non-evidence-based advice that's out there. So in terms of the masters, you will be able to provide medical nutrition therapy. So one of the distinctions between a dietitian and someone with a nutrition qualification is that dietitians are qualified to provide medical nutrition therapy. So working in hospitals or clinics and dealing with things like allergies and nutrition support of people with cancer and other conditions. Still with the aim of sort of like looking at having that background and qualification to assist to prevent illnesses in communities, individuals, and you will find that you have a wide range of areas in which you can find employment after you qualified, after you finish your degree. So currently, in terms of our students, our graduating students, and so if you combine the B&D and the M&D graduates together, we have about 50 that graduate, and we're only the end of February, and I'd probably say 50 to 60% have got work already. And generally by 6 months, everyone that wants a job in nutrition and dietetics, they get work. It might not be full-time, and it might not be their ideal, their dream job, but it's a foot in the door and work that they can then build upon. So I tend to say that, there's some of the general areas that you might find yourself working in, but every couple of years there's new and more innovative areas in which dietitians are finding themselves, and there's probably jobs that don't even exist yet that will be added to that list over time. The general course aims, I'm not going to read that out word for word because you can find that on the website and on the course page. But really what we're wanting to do is by the end of the program, end of your 2 years, we are aiming that you are competent professionals with in nutrition and dietetics. We do have a set of national competency standards that at the end of the 2 years you need to demonstrate that you meet all of those, and so there's a lot of mapping and things that go on, but at the end of that you are qualified and can be part of the accredited practicing dietitian program with DA if you so wish. It also gives you the skills that are required to contribute to the evidence base that's out there. So, in terms of having skills and knowledge to be able to conduct research, to look at the literature that's out there and appraise what's relevant, what's evidence-based, so that you can come to a conclusion around what kind of literature there is to support what we're doing. Now, we do have sort of the overarching masters, but we do have minors and a research stream in the masters as well, and so they're the kind of general 2 course aims for the masters, but then there are additional specific learning outcomes for those minors or the research stream. So in terms of the master's core topics, so you should all have received an email from me over the last month or so with some information and a study plan. So that study plan has been tailored to you based on the study that you've completed previously. So some of you will not have any option topics available to choose because I've had to actually prescribe those for you in order for you to meet accreditation requirements by the end of the degree. So the amount of option topics will vary student to student depending on where you've come from. If you've come through from our BHN degree, for example, you will have 4 option topics available to you. And so you can then either choose a minor or the research stream if you wish. But I'll talk about those in a moment. So in terms of core topics, you have 2 core topics in both semesters. And we start off straight from the beginning in terms of getting you to do the dietetic side of things. Okay, so you have all come in with nutrition knowledge, nutrition studies to varying degrees, and have met certain requirements to come into the program. So you don't need to do general nutrition, okay, which is what the undergrads do in the first couple of years. So we get you straight into doing dietetic focused skills topics. So The first two is a nutrition care process and communication and counselling. So you've got 2 topics. So nutrition care process, teaches you how to actually work with individuals. So it takes you through the whole process, and then we apply it to lifestyle conditions or scenarios with lifestyle conditions. In addition, alongside that, you will also be doing the communication and counselling topic, which is where you'll learn the skills of how to actually interact and communicate as a nutrition professional to deliver the information that you'll be learning or have already learnt. This semester, both of those topics have a placement component. So you will come into the master's program and you will get placement straight away in semester 1. All right. In that email that you got from me with your study plan was some instructions or some information regarding placements and the things that you need to have already hopefully got onto in terms of meeting placement requirements, compliance requirements. Have you already received emails from the placement team? Okay, good. All right. So you will, if you haven't already looked into your Flinders emails, you should have, but you have enrolled in one or both of those topics, then you should have received an email from the placements team with some instructions around what you need to do to meet compliance. And compliance is regarding things like, I'll talk more about it in a minute, but we'll talk about that. So in nutrition care process, you will have a 2-day observational placement. You'll get a selection of sites that you can sign up to one, and you'll spend 2 days or the equivalent of shadowing the dietitians and watching how they work, but also spend time with other health professionals. So it might be the physio, the speech path, the Aboriginal liaison worker, whoever is relevant in that space or who's working in that space, so that you can start to get a broader understanding of how a healthcare team works, who's in it, how they interact, those kind of things. And in the communication and counselling topic, you'll have what we call a ward placement, where you'll be allocated to a 3 or 4 week time period and a ward in one of the metropolitan hospitals, and you will then attend that ward as often as you can amongst your other commitments and practice your interviewing with clients, so patients on those wards. We are considerate of where you live, so if you live at Hullet Cove, we don't place you at Lyle McEwen, for example. All right, so it can be a bit of a juggle in terms of fitting in that placement around other requirements, but you have that 3 to 4 week block and you have to do a minimum of 8 interviews, and it is assessed at the end. So that's semester 1 core topics. In semester 2 is where you have what we call the placement readiness topics. So these are the topics that really get you ready for final year placements and final year practice. So you have your clinical nutrition and dietetics, which is a double topic. So it's worth 9 units, and you have a food service topic. Then some of you will have that community and public health topic if you haven't already done that in your prior degree. So that's basically then covers off on the 3 placement domains and the 3 kind of key domains that dietitians work in, is clinical, food service and community. They're kind of the generic kind of basic domains. So everyone in the program will do those 4 topics. The remainder will differ depending where you come from. So if you have received a study plan from me that says you have 4 option topics, then you are eligible for one of the minors or the research stream. So we do have a minor in rural and remote health and a minor in disability, in the disability space as well. Those 2 areas are kind of growing areas in terms of work for nutritionists and dietitians. And so they're an opportunity to, I guess, specialise in a growing area, and it kind of sets, I guess, you apart from some of the other students because you have that kind of specialty. The other option for students that are interested in potentially research is the research stream, and so that provides you with with 18 units of research content and project work. So then you are at the end eligible to apply for a PhD if that's, if you're interested in taking that path. Those of you that have option space, whether it's 1 topic or 4 topics, you don't have to sign up for a minor or the research stream if you don't wish. you can do what I tend to call the potluck or the taster of different areas, and that's where you can, I'll come back to that. That's where you can choose from a list of elective topics and kind of mix and match, if you wish. So you might do one disability, one chronic condition, one nutrition and one rural and remote health, or you might package them a little bit differently depending on your areas of interest. But there's quite a list that you can choose from. I'm going to go back. Okay. So if you are interested in any of the minors or the streams, then please feel free to have a look at them on the website, but also have a chat with me. You can just email me and we can talk about those options further if you're interested. I know that we've got one student who's taken up a disability minor already, but you might be still kind of wavering on what you're interested in at this point in time. In terms of enrolment, make sure that you are fully enrolled. So if you've only sort of part enrolled at this point in time, please get on to enrolling in all of your topics for this year, because that will then populate your timetable for the year. You'll know where you need to be when, so you can then sort of fit work around it, or however, whatever it might look like for you in terms of life. You might have children to pick up from school, all of that kind of thing. So make sure that the sooner you get yourself enrolled and know your timetable and commitments, the easier it will be to arrange things accordingly. It's also in terms of the university counting students and counting enrolments, because that's how they help allocate space to us and teaching spaces to us. If we only think we've got 5 students enrolled in a topic, then we get a small, we get told to use the small room, and then the other 20 enrol and we're kind of all in the corridor. So Masters Year 2, so in Year 1 we operate in normal semesters. So it's the 2 halves of the year, nice break in between, and a nice summer break. In Year 2, it's slightly different, and this is the year where you will do all of your placements, your big placements. All right. So we start the year the second week of January. So this year it was Wednesday the 10th of January, so it's probably going to be similar next year when you get to it. And it starts with a 3-week class intensive. And then the placements are rostered into 4 blocks. And I'll show you an example of what that might look like. You don't have to worry about it now. It's more that students are often thinking about, do I book a long holiday at the end of the year? Can I work lots over the summer? So I just like to flag it early, so that particularly international students, if they want to book a flight home over summer, then just making them aware of what the plans are. So in that 10th of January, roughly, for 3 weeks, you spend time doing research skills intensive. You will do placement readiness intensive, and also if you're going on food service placement in the first half of the year, you'll do food service intensive in January as well. After that, you'll then go on to placements. So in terms of what the year looks like, I'll show you that in a moment. You've got 2 research topics, so A and B, in one half of the year and the second half of the year. So I always tend to tell students that you've got placements, but you've got these other topics that kind of run in the background or run over the top. All right. And then you have the 4 clinical food service. Yeah, I've got that twice there. That one at the bottom doesn't belong there. So you've got your clinical placement, your food service placement, and your community public health placement. All of you will then also have an option topic potentially in Year 2. All right. So what that might look like, just to give you a bit of a heads up, and don't worry if it's confusing or whatever, I'm happy to give you some more detail as time goes on, but this is what it looks like this year. So you've got your intensive between the 10th and the 24th of January, and then you've got your 4 rotations across the year, and those rotations are 10-week blocks. All right. And at the end of, around August, this year you'll receive some information around placements. You will also receive a survey that will ask you about whether there's any barriers to you going into state or rurally for placements, those kind of things. And then that helps inform rostering. So your roster, we do all the placements, so we source them. You don't have to worry about arranging placements. We do all of that, and then you'll receive a roster early in December that tells you a draft roster, because it does sometimes change, where you're going and in what rotations you're going. All right. So some examples of what that might look like. So for student 1, they're coming to the intensive in January, and then they're doing their clinical in the first rotation. They've chosen to do independent studies as their option topic, so they're doing that in the second rotation, and then they've got community and food service. Okay. Now you can see that these are 10-week blocks, but some placements don't go that long. So you have time across the year when you're not on placement. All of you will get some time. Some of you will get a big block of time, and some of you will get 4 weeks here and 6 weeks there, kind of thing. So you won't be required to be on placement, but keep in mind you've got those research topics in the background, and that's the time to work on that. All right? And we facilitate you planning all of that early in the year. Another option might be that the student doesn't have any placements in rotation 1, so their first 10 weeks, they don't have any placements. So they're working on those other commitments, and then they might have their community, food service and clinical in the last 3 blocks. Okay. The other options are community and food service may be combined in a block, so it runs slightly longer, but then you have a whole block away from placement. So it's a bit of a jigsaw that gets put together. When you go on placement, you'll very seldom go on your own. It's usually at least a pair. Clinical placements are sometimes there's 4 of you at one site, so you've got people with you, okay, classmates with you, as a support, as a sounding board. Similarly, if you go rurally or interstate for placements, it's always in a pair, so you're never on your own. And we source, we organise accommodation and things like that. So I just want to flag that, second year does start early and it goes through till the end of November. All right. After that, all going well, then you get, you're done. Some students, don't progress that way, and they might need to, repeat a placement or spend extra time on placement. That's, that happens, and so it then might go into the following year, depending on what's available. But the aim is that by December, you're all finished. December next year. Any questions on that?
Just around accreditation with DA, how much of a gap is there likely to be between, becoming qualified and then actually being able to practice?
Oh, so when you're done, like if you're finished?
Yeah.
So when you finish and all of your grades are submitted, the university ticks you off as being completed, you are then free to work.
Okay, you don't need to wait for...
No. So in South Australia, if you want to work in SA Health, for example, you aren't required to be a member of DA. Okay? If you want to do private practice, then you do for the insurance purposes. So what you can do is you can start work and join DA. The only requirement for DA membership is that you've got your equals, what we call equals. So they're all the electronic versions of your transcript, enrolments and things like that. All right. So apart from that, you don't need to wait. So in terms of academic staff, so all of the people on the screen, Denise is our partnerships coordinator, so some students work with her in their community placement, but all of the other staff contribute to teaching in the programs to varying shapes and forms and varying degrees. So we've got Amanda Ray, who's our academic lead. She's also the clinical placement coordinator, so she looks after all of our clinical placements. You've got myself and Carolyn, who are the course coordinators of the various programs. You've got Jane, who you've already met, who's the student experience coordinator. Marion McAllister is our placement education coordinator, so she's responsible for all of our placements and our placement sites and rostering and things like that. And then everybody else teaches into our program in various topics, various domains. So, for example, Claire has come from a diabetes and Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander background, so she's teaching that into some of our programs. Christy is part-time here and part-time clinical educator or clinical dietitian at Carlin, so she's clinically focused, and then the rest of us contribute in different domains as well. So Alison looks after all of our food service, and Marion's our community public health focused person. So a reasonably sized group. We're all located here at Sturt in level 3 north. So we're in south at the moment. It's the building that's on the other side of the courtyard. All right. So if you want to find us, if you want to meet with us, whether it's myself or one of the topic coordinators or Jane, then all you need to do is just flick us an email and ask to make a time, and then you'll be able to find us on level 3. So I'll just go back to that. So in terms of your topics for masters, the majority of the classes that you'll have will be here at Sturt, and potentially health sciences, which is just over here on the hill. You can walk from here to there in 10 minutes if you're a reasonably paced walker, if you go through the forest. And by forest, it's not like that you're going through the trees. There's a nice path, it's just got trees either side of it, so we call it the forest. All right. Otherwise, if you're, if walking that distance in short time frames is challenging for you, there's a bus that connects the campuses as well. In terms of information and where we will sort of post information and where you can find out information around the nutrition and dietetic courses, we do have a flow site. Hopefully you're familiar with flow and have engaged with flow and can kind of know where that is. So we have the general courses page, but we do have the BND and MND info hub module within that. So general information gets posted on the course page, but if it's specific and only for dietetic students, then I post it in that hub. All right. The things that I might be posting is events coming up. Meg, who you spoke to earlier, often flags to me different things like different employment opportunities or different events, careers, expos, those kind of things. So I'll post that there, or it might just be general information that's more pertinent for dietetics rather than everybody. So keep an eye on that, and I always say check it at least a couple times a week, that site. If you're wondering in terms of information about your program, so you would have come across this already, but just always refer back to the course handbook. That will list all the option topics that you can choose from with links to make it easier for you. It also talks about the study plan and progression through the program as well. On that, I just want to mention that it is a 2-year program that's full-time, but sometimes things happen. Okay, and maybe full-time study is challenging for you for whatever reason that might be. It can be, family commitments. It can be something, health-wise changes, whatever it might be. And so, if you need a revision to your study plan, please let me know. Don't go ahead and do it yourself without discussing it first, because sometimes I've had students that drop one topic, and it adds a whole year to your degree because of all the progression of topics. So more than happy to chat about those kind of things. We just want to make sure we do it properly and not kind of impact on your degree time too much. So I did show the academic staff here, the nutrition and dietetics academic staff. Obviously we have other Flinders teaching staff that teach into programs, but we can't deliver a program on our own. We do have external partners. It's part of our accreditation, and it's also important because their industry, they inform what the landscape is like in terms of work and requirements, so they help inform what we teach and what we cover. So we have key partners here in terms of clinical partners, so obviously all of the local health networks, so the Carlin, Sarlin and Narlin, and their various sites, Women's and Children's Hospital, and the Women's and Children's teach a paediatric module in the clinical topic in semester 2. So they come and do a module and teach you all about paediatrics, which students usually love because it's a little bit different. We have interstate partners. So in terms of clinical placements and things, there's Royal Darwin, Alice Springs Hospital and Gove in Northern Territory. We also have Tasmania as well. So Northwest Regional and Royal Hobart Hospital come off and on depending on the year. So they're the kind of areas that you might go to for clinical placement. There are others in terms of country health, might be Mount Gambier, Port Lincoln, those kind of things. We also have then others that contribute in terms of community and public health. So you can see there's a range of partners here in South Australia and interstate. You might be familiar with people like the Sprout Cooking School, for example, which Sarah was talking about. They have input into our program. They host all of our like the food prep and food skills cooking sessions. They're all done out at Sprout. And then there's a range, and they do vary year to year, but these are kind of the ones that are always on board. So I've talked a little bit about the placements already. Just to kind of reiterate that you will have both of them this semester. In terms of the observational placement, you do get to self-select a site, and it's kind of first come, first served, and you need to complete it between the end of March and beginning of June. The ward placement, you are allocated to a site, and that generally happens across April to May, those placements. With the 2-day placement, and I'll talk more about it when you join the topic, that can be done, that's negotiated between you and the site as to when you go. So you might not work on Fridays, and so you might ask, can I do 2 Fridays, for example? So placement requirements are important. No one can go on placements until all of that compliance is signed off. We can't let you go to any of the placement sites. The compliance does include criminal history clearances and immunisations. So they're the kind of 2 main things that you need to get onto early because they can take a while to come back. If you need the hepatitis immunisations, that's a course of vaccinations. So you won't be able to get that whole course done before you go on your placement. But as long as you've had the first one, then that kind of meets the requirements for you to be able to start placements. Things like your criminal history checks, national police checks, there is a cost involved, but they are valid for 3 years. So it'll cover you for the whole program and your first year of work if you get a job in that first year. So they're the things that you need to get onto ASAP if you haven't already started. You've probably got email reminders from the placement team saying please get onto it. There are other things that you need to cover off on as well. So medical records training, the mask fit testing, and other kind of modules on hand hygiene and infection control that are available on Flow. So there is a checklist. Make sure you have a look at it and make sure you can tick off all of the things on that checklist before you can go. Now, I touched on rural placements earlier. So there is the chance that you will go on a rural placement in final year. There is the opportunity for observational placement to be in a rural setting. So some of the sites are, for example, let me think, what have we got? Like Murray Bridge, Berry, I think there's Port Lincoln. So they're all in South Australia, Victor Harbour. So I always say to students, grab one if you can. The main reason, I know it is a bit more challenging in terms of organising and getting there, but it is a really good eye-opener in terms of what rural placements are like, so that if you have one in final year, you might not be as daunted or as concerned about it. All right. The other thing is that that's where lots of the jobs are, is country health. Country Health SA has a lot of jobs, vacancies and things, so there's always work available. And I always say with rural placements or rural work, you get to try a whole range of different aspects of dietetic practice, because you're not just dedicated to one ward in a hospital doing that over and over. You might get to do group sessions, you might do work, visit the local hospital, you might go on flying doctors and go out to rural communities and and do work with rural communities. So you get a lot of variety, and particularly as a new grad, it can be really good cementing opportunity to kind of try out different things. It's not always doable for everybody, depending on life circumstances, but if you can, I say grab one. In year 2, you also there is an opportunity to do a short-term overseas placement. That is part of the independent studies project topic. So if you're interested in work, in an overseas placement, and they're the 3 sites that we have those placements. They vary year to year. Then there'll be an information session later this year, and then what you would do is you'd do the independent studies topic as your option topic in year 2, and that way you can elect to do one of those or a local project. But students love it. It's a fabulous opportunity. Fiji is the other one. You can go and live in whatever country for 3 to 4 weeks, delivering programs and things to the local communities. Some of them are sports related, all different things. So keep an eye out if it's something that you're interested in, potentially. As Meg was mentioning earlier, in terms of finding ways to, I guess, build your skills, build your professional networks and things like that, one of the other opportunities that we have to build your skills is the Fragility Fracture Clinic. So from sort of partway through semester 1, you will be able to sign up for that clinic if you wish. So it is supervised either by someone from our team or from the dietitian in Sarlan at GP+, and it's a student-led clinic with people that have had a fragility fracture. So it's a lot of sort of, people that have lost weight or need to build up their strength. They've had fractures for whatever reason. So it's nutrition assessment and counselling opportunities if you feel comfortable. And we have students that do parts or all of the clinic, depending on where they're at and where their comfort level is. So you might start off just observing. You might then move into thinking that you feel confident or comfortable to give information gathering a go. And then because generally, some of the client information that you have to give is fairly straightforward, then you might have a go at some brief counselling. So there will be a sign-up sheet available on Flow where you can just allocate yourself. And it runs all year, and it's on a Thursday morning down at Marion GP+. So keep an eye out. Marion McAllister oversees it, so she'll put a post out on Flow when it's available. Any questions on that? Have I overwhelmed people? Don't want to run out the door. That's always a good start. So getting essentials sorted so that you're ready to hit the ground running. If you haven't already got one, make sure you've got your student ID card. Okay. If you're already part of Flinders, you would have one, but if not, then make sure you've ordered one. You can do it online and it's fairly quick to come through, so make sure you've done that. Get familiar with Flow. So we recently, at the end of last year, changed from one version of Flow to another. So we're now in Canvas, which has come with its challenges, shall we say. Challenges for us, challenges for the students as well, because there are some intricacies associated with it. So I always say to students, if you notice something doesn't look right or something is missing or whatever, just let us know, because there's the possibility that we didn't tick the right box, or that it's put in a different place where you would think it would be. So bear with us, we will bear with you, and that way we'll get it sorted out between us. So every topic in the university has a Flow site. So you can go in and have a look at what assessment there is, any information, learning outcomes, timetables, there would all be on the Flow site. And then there's also the general ones that you would have access to through the university as well. They go live a week before classes, so your topics will be live now. So if you haven't already had a look, then I recommend that you do before next week starts. As I mentioned before, make sure you have enrolled in all of your topics. And some topics may well have like different streams or different classes you have to enrol in. So it might just not be enroll in the topic. You might then need to enrol in a stream, the tutorial stream, and a workshop stream or a lab stream. So make sure that you've done all of that, so that when it comes to classes, you haven't missed classes because you didn't enrol in the workshop stream, for example. So just make sure all of that is completed. If you've got timetable clashes, particularly if you've got option topics, then just let me know. First of all, try and choose an alternative tutorial stream or whatever it might be to try and move things around across the week. All lectures are recorded in the university, so if there's lecture content that you can't make, it will be recorded and made available on the topic flow site after the session. But tutorials aren't. Practicals aren't, so they're the kind of things that nothing is compulsory to attend. We can't make you attend things, but tutorials and pracs and things like that are the things that we highly recommend that you attend. And as I mentioned, if you need to vary your study plan, please let me know. Textbooks. So those of you in the Masters are kind of, more along the line in terms of dietetics. And so if they're books, like if it's a chemistry textbook, you'll use it for chemistry and then not use it again. So I tend to say, if you can get away with not purchasing those, then fair enough. But when it comes to textbooks for topics now, then that becomes part of your library, that you'll use them on placement, you'll use them after. But I always say check with the topic coordinators before purchasing, because it might be a list of resources and they might say just the priority one, for example. So for nutrition care process, for example, there's the clinical handbook that I would always recommend that you purchase, because you'll use it all this year, placement and beyond. It's kind of like, Internet for Dummies. It's kind of like that. It's got everything in it. It's your one-stop shop for kind of a short answer thing. So if you want to know what an equation is, it'll be in that book and you just carry it around with you. So we can talk a bit more about that. So the library does have copies of all texts. Any readings will be in the e-readings section on the topic flow page. So there's a readings tab on the left-hand side that takes you through to e-readings. Sometimes readings are digitised. So if it's a textbook chapter, then the actual chapter itself might be on e-readings, depending on copyright and how much of that textbook is being used. So always check e-readings, and before you purchase, check with the teaching staff. If you require an access plan, or you're an elite athlete, there are also options for you in terms of pathways. So if you've got a medical, mental health challenges, or physical or mobility issues, some kind of health-related condition, you might be eligible for an access plan. And what that can allow you to do is negotiate alternative arrangements for assessments. An example that stands out is that if you've got exams for topics and you have difficulty sitting for 2 hours, then some students will sit their exams in an alternative room that allows them to get up and walk around. It's just one example that comes to mind. Or it might be that you require more time to complete things, and so you might be able to get extensions without documentation, or the amount of documentation that's normally required. If you think that you're in that position, then I suggest you contact Health and Counselling and meet with them, because they will then put together an access plan if you meet the requirements. If you have an access plan, then you need to provide that to all of your topic coordinators. It doesn't say on there what your medical condition is, but it does say, what those kind of alternative arrangements and negotiations might be. The other program is if you're an elite athlete, and we have students in the program that qualify for this. Not only does it allow you access to sort of coaching and the different fitness aspects of the program, but it does allow you to negotiate things like timetabling and assessments, and study plans, and leave. So, for example, we've got a student at the moment who's an Olympic walker, so race walker, and so she has taken leave to be able to prepare and attend the Olympics, for example. We have some that have that they're elite kickboxers or Thai boxing participants, and so they have times where they might take 2 weeks away to go on to competition, and so things might need to be juggled around in terms of deadlines and things. So if you meet that criteria, then I suggest go and have a chat with the Elite Athlete Program coordinator, and then what they do is they provide the details to relevant academic staff if you're involved in that program. Some crucial dates for semester 1. So things to think about and flag maybe in your calendar. Your last day to enrol in topics is Friday of week 2, so the 8th of March. That's when fees are due if you're paying fees. And that's kind of after that date you then can't change, like you can't enrol in a new topic. You can withdraw, but you can't enrol in something different. We've then got census date. So on Friday of week 5, you can withdraw from topics and not have to pay the fees. So if you're in a topic and you realise that this option topic's not for me, then you can pull out of that, but you just won't be able to enrol in something else. And you won't have to pay for it. Then you've got the ones where you've got the last day to withdraw without failure. So that's Friday of week 9. And that means then you don't have a fail on your transcript, doesn't impact on your GPA. You just have WN instead. And then your last day to withdraw with failure, or last day to withdraw, then that's Friday of week 14. Okay. So those 2 topics you can't get. You still have paid the fees. So, any questions from the floor? There's a lot of pressure on you, isn't there? And you might not have any questions, and that's completely fine. And if you do, you can ask me individually, or you can ask me outside, depending on what you want to do. But what I might do is turn the recording off because that's stopped.